YouTube horizontal going here. I got to plug the charger in, and then we should be to get this show on the road. I don't know why everything wants to act crazy once we're going. Okay, there we go. All right, so last but not least, I got to make sure this shit is charging. So we'll go ahead and start. 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Happy Friday, happy weekend to all of you folks. Bear with me, I'm still connecting some of my chargers to my equipment, but this is the conclusion of week one, President Trump. And I guess just for shits and giggles in the comment section, remember when you were in school, elementary school, high school? For some of you folks that had middle school, I didn't have middle school. I went K through 8 at the same institution. But for some of you folks that had, remember the letter grades A, B, C, D, and F? I want to ask you folks, give me your letter grade. 5 days of Trump. If you had to give him a letter grade based on the first 5 days, what would be your letter grade for Trump after only 5 days in office? Because he has concluded a full week. F's, wow. I got Ron and Marsha saying an F, but Smith is saying an A. Now, Damon and Wills, there is no such thing as an F minus. God, that's when your teacher has Trump derangement syndrome. An F minus, wow, that's about as low as you can get. Damn. What would Trump have done to deserve an F minus? God damn, that's bad. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about, though. Comedy, all comedy aside, President Trump has concluded. Originally I said the first week, but in reality, he's only did 5 days. Does it not feel like he's been in office for a month or two already? Does it feel like Biden just got on Marine One and left the White House on Monday? Or does that shit feel like it's been weeks ago? I gotta give a shout out to Trump for the standpoint of, like I said, regardless if you like him or not, the boss effect, feeling like a boss, feeling like a take charge person. It felt like he became the acting president literally the day after the election in November. It's felt like he's been the acting president of the United States since November. We got world leaders going to Mar-a-Lago. We got world leaders making calls. We got Elon Musk on the phone. It literally felt like the moment he was victorious in early November, he just pushed Biden to the side and said, I'll take it now. And I'm saying that no matter how you feel about him, even if you think he's doing a shitty job, you gotta admit, it feels like he took the helm immediately, which, in my humble opinion, makes Biden look kind of weak with that. Because Biden should have came out and told the people that. Like, I still got 2 months left. I understand that, and threw his will around. I'm trying to plug in a charger here to my YouTube before we continue, but I want to respond to a super chat. Eggs are up 37%. So, J Aviation is saying, in regards to grading, because I asked for a letter grade. I asked to give a letter grade on how you think Trump has done so far in his first 5 days. And some of you folks gave him an A, but a lot of folks gave him an F. A couple said an F minus. J Aviation is suggesting or pointing out, at least where he's at, that since Trump became president, the price of eggs are up 30. Is that real? Is that true? Now, that's one of the biggest issues that a lot of Trump supporters have been talking about, is bringing down the price of eggs. So he says they're up 37%. Now, Trump ran on all of this shit, ending the Ukraine-Russian war in 24 hours and all this stuff. I'm going to tell you something. In my humble opinion, I keep using the phrase in the middle of Fifth Avenue because I think it applies. I don't think he really has to meet most of those promises. I think the folks that support Trump believe that Biden was so bad that Trump could fail on 90% of the promises and only deliver on 10%. And I think they would still see Trump as a much better president than Biden. So we can judge Trump on whether or not he delivers on some of his promises, but my humble opinion, certainly for MAGA and even a lot of traditional Republicans and independents, it won't matter. It won't matter. He doesn't have to deliver on that stuff. They're going to still say he's better than President Biden. So we'll see. Anyhow, looking in the comments, Chicken Chop says, let's go, Peter Hegseth. I think Hegseth will get certified. I mean, what I want to say, the support, I'm going to be kind with this. The support for President Trump is so strong, he could appoint me with no military service at all, and I think I would get at least 40% of the Senate. If Trump brought my black ass in there, listen, he doesn't have any military experience, but I've talked to him. He's a good guy. He has the best heart, one of the best hearts around. You know how he talks, how he bloviates, and 40% of the Senate is voting for my ass. His support is that strong. I'm going to get at least 40% of the Senate, probably 40% of both houses. I don't know who the hell this guy is. I don't know if Trump is out of his mind, but I trust Trump. 40% I got. And then it's just up to Trump to make a phone call, maybe a few threats, have Elon Musk holler at him and tell him he's going to primary their ass. And before you know it, boom, the handsome liberal appointed to be over the military. I really believe Trump has that kind of power. So looking in the comments, though, you are so wrong, says Leanie Rubin. I hope so. But the evidence does not indicate that. And I'm willing to admit when I'm fucking wrong. But 40% of the Senate, 40% of the House, they riding or dying with Trump. It does not matter. I really believe that. Looking in the comments, he has a 52% approval rating right now. Yeah, but that's overall. That's overall. You look at his approval rate with the folks on the right, it's probably 80, 90%. So, yeah, I definitely think that he could, because when I say 40%, how many members of the Senate, 50, 52, 54? What percentage of the Senate is Republican? When I said 40%, I mean 40% of the Republican part. I'm not talking about overall, so maybe I didn't say that right. But out of the Republicans in the Senate and Republicans in Congress, I would get 40% of them if Trump was backing me. I really believe it. I would get 40% of the Republican Senate, Republican Congress if Trump and Elon are telling you, you need to put this guy in there. 40% rolling with him. Now, we're talking about the weekend review. There's just too many topics on Trump to really narrow it down, but we will talk about the fact that he is threatening not to give aid to California unless they have voter ID. I'm 100% behind, I'm 100% in favor of having an ID to vote. I don't believe there's any excuse why a full-grown adult cannot get an ID, certainly in a national election when it's only every 4 years, or even in the midterms. I mean, how much does it cost to get a state ID? It's ridiculous to have a full-grown adult say, I can't get an ID. If you can legally vote, if you cannot afford to get an ID, then voting should be the least of your damn worries. So I don't believe that, I don't believe there's a major issue with requiring an ID to vote. However, and I'm 100% behind requiring an ID to vote. I'm 100% behind it. But I don't believe this is something that should be coming up after a major fire or multiple fires have burned people's houses to the ground. There's no election. There is no national election for at least almost 2 years now until the midterms. There's plenty of time to do this. This is not the time to be trying to finagle and get what you want in regards to something that has nothing to do with the actual disaster. This has now once FEMA or whoever helps these folks out, and I'll go to the box after this, but once they help these folks out, there's all sorts of things you can deny California going forward. But right now, while people on the ground are suffering, this is not the time to make demands in regards to something that has nothing to do with the actual catastrophe. It's just putting, you want to talk about putting pork in bills? Remember the whole border bill and the Ukraine money shouldn't have been, this should not be in what Trump is talking. Helping out American citizens that are struggling Voter ID should not be in there right now. I cannot back Trump on this at all. I'm willing to point out when I think he does something right. This is absolutely wrong. Can you imagine in a Republican state something going wrong, and all of a sudden the liberals are talking about, well, you need to treat the transgender right or something like that before we help you out after a disaster? It should not be in there. It absolutely should not be in there. It just makes it look like what Double Luck is saying. He doesn't care about Americans. It kind of makes it look that way. I mean, because there's a lot of people in California that have lost their houses and shit that didn't even vote for Gavin Newsom or the liberals. Why the hell should they pay a price and have their aid delayed because you're pissed off or you got beef with Newsom? That's wrong. Also, real quick before we go to the box, in addition to no aid, talking about getting rid of FEMA, suggesting that the states should be able to cover their own disasters. Wait till Mississippi get a load of that. They ain't gonna be able to cover shit. If a hurricane goes through the Gulf of America, or we have another Hurricane Katrina, or Alabama gets hit, they can't cover that. They can't cover that. They'll quickly find out this whole state's protecting themselves is bullshit. The poor states are down there. So that ain't, I don't think that's gonna go, but he's talking about getting rid of FEMA. Last one, the leader of the Oath Keepers. Now, for you folks, some of you folks may be aware that the leader of the Proud Boys and the leader of the Oath Keepers were both arrested in regards to January 6th. If I'm correct, one received 18 years in prison, the other got 22. I don't know which one got which, but 18 years for one, 22 years for the other one. Trump has pardoned them both. They are both free and out of prison. Here's the catch, though. Regardless of what you think about the sentences, maybe you think it was a witch hunt, you think they should have got out, whatever the case may be, over sentence, whatever you want to throw in there. Lauren Boebert, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, invited them to a paid tour back to the Capitol building. So she's going to fly them, get them back out to D.C. and let them get a free tour of the Capitol building. The Capitol building has banned the leader of the Oath Keepers from being allowed on the premises. I think it should be obvious why they did that. But they banned the leader of the Oath Keepers from being on the premises under the guise that a judge has to approve it. Trump administration has already released a statement that they're not liking that. They want the Oath Keepers leader to have access to the Capitol building. You cannot make this up, folks. Back in the blue. Wow. You cannot make it up. Pro police, can you imagine being a Capitol Police officer that will undoubtedly be stationed at the Capitol building, watching people that literally beat the shit out of you folks, being invited back to the Capitol as if they're heroes? But treated better than you. Treated better than you. We've covered what has happened to those folks, suggesting that what they went through was wrong. We've covered in detail the welfare of the January 6th protesters and what people think was done wrong to them. We've covered that more extensively than the actual cops that got their asses beat. And now they're going to get a paid tour back to the Capitol building. You can't make it up, so I'm going to talk to some of you folks in the comments. I don't have an answer for that. Takesha Bowie, good evening, welcome to the program. How would you feel if you were at Capitol Police Station and watching that?
You know what, Handsome Liberal? I've never been this tired in the first week of a new administration in all my life.
Yeah.
All this foolishness going on, it's really heartbreaking. I don't understand how a person's heart can be so dark that they making all these unempathetic, uncompassionate executive orders, and you let out your posse, and then you're publicly announcing you taking Secret Service from people that you know got targets on them, and you know them fools that you got out would do anything for you.
Yeah.
And they already threatening them people.
So you see,
I don't want to talk about how great and how strong Donald Trump looked. I want to talk about how low down the things that he's doing on his retribution tour is going.
Give me some examples.
John Bolton.
Yeah. I heard Pompeo and Dr. Fauci, yeah.
Dr. Fauci Secret Service protection removed.
Yeah.
Why? If you know these people are under a threat, why would you take their Secret Service? Why?
Well,
because you're mad.
Yeah.
Because you're a toddler. Because you can't stand nobody saying nothing about you without you getting pissed off. You around here made a whole tweet about a bishop because she asked you to have compassion on some people.
Yeah, he didn't.
Come on,
he didn't like that at all. Let me ask it to you this way, because in the comments, Glizzy Gladiator said, "Is he being wronged? Okay, you don't had a year and a half of protection. He's saying that eventually, at some point, you're not entitled to security protection forever. So what he's saying is it wrong?
Hold on. When your children move out your house, and you know somebody after them, you ain't gonna try to do what you can to keep your child safe.
That's your kids.
I mean, they at your house.
That's your kids, though.
They an adult.
That's your kids, though.
They at your house and they an adult. They no longer under the protection of your house, and they are an adult who can take care of themselves.
So, are you suggesting he should continue giving them Secret Service protection forever?
Why not? Why not him?
I'm trying.
Fauci ain't gonna live forever.
No, he's like 80 years old plus.
The man is old.
Yeah.
But why would you do that knowing that he still has threats on him?
Well, the argument is...
Slow down.
The argument is...
I don't care how y'all try to pinpoint it. I don't care how y'all try to make sense of it. It's low down. He didn't do it because he want to save money. He did it to be low down. He did it for retribution. Let's call it what it is.
But when you say
It's time to stop laughing. It's time to stop laughing at the stuff Donald Trump do.
No, it ain't like...
It's not funny.
But hold on, Takesha. It ain't like... If, like I said, you don't like when I say give Trump credit, but I'm going to give him credit for the fact that he ain't doing shit that he didn't promise. I mean, you know, what did the guy say in the football game?
Absolutely, he doing it. He doing everything he said, but lowering the prices that we need. What the eggs going down at?
Okay.
What the gas going down at? I got my Alabama Power text me yesterday. My light bill still $282. That's the same thing it was last month, month before that. What a cut to that?
Well, your light bill, most of that, your light bill, if it's $200, you ran up most of that during the Biden administration. In fact, you might have ran it all up.
He said they won.
Yeah, but when you get your light bill, that's for last month.
Because he's supposed to wave a magic wand. He the big boss in charge. They were supposed to know come January, Takesha February bill need to be cut in half.
Well, when you get your bill that was ran up under him, then we got a conversation. But the bill you got now was ran up under the Biden administration.
These are the words you said, handsome. You said he became a boss.
Yeah.
Time he got, elected. So that's when my light bill should have started taking the new amount on, because he became the boss at that moment. That's what you said.
Yeah. Throw my words back at
Now,
me.
I went to Walmart because I was going to get me a couple of cartons of eggs. I want some deviled eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? They went up $3. I can't believe that you didn't know that eggs went up 37% when you watched Fox News when they were the first people to report on it.
Because they ain't reporting it now.
They did report it. They were the first news source to come out and report that they went up 37%.
What reason did they give for why it happened?
It's the bird flu.
Okay, so they ain't blaming the president no more.
Who took us out of the World Health Organization?
That would be Trump.
How are we gonna monitor bird flu?
I have no answer for that.
How are we gonna know if we gonna get in a pandemic? How are we gonna know?
I guess.
How are we gonna know if egg prices going down if we don't know how the bird flu going?
Yeah. I got one for you. You know, I always let you have them when you get it, because sometimes you draw some interesting comments, but I'm gonna give you the flow on this. I'm not gonna let this one get by. Jeff M on YouTube horizontal says, well, she's on welfare anyway. Get another job like the rest of us. Floor is yours.
Let me say this so my account can go and get taken down. Bitch, I'm not on welfare. but I fare very well. Your dumb ass need to stop talking about black folks on welfare when white people are on more government assistance than any fucking body in the country. Don't ever in life suggest that I'm on fucking welfare. I probably got more in my ass than you got in your bank account. How about that?
All right, I gotta get. Listen, I play the program fair. I'm all for free speech, but if you type it in the comments,
that's his response.
All right, Jeff.
Now you know they always drop me. Let me go before they take your live down.
All right, Takesha. Appreciate you coming through. Always a pleasure. All right, so looking in the comments, I have 2 fucking jobs supporting my kids and my family. My wife and I work our asses off to provide for our family, says Michael Grant. Well, I think most Americans do. I don't listen. Obviously, my last caller was an African American female. Why welfare came up, I have no clue. I have no clue. I'll just leave it to you folks in the audience to come up with your own conclusions, but I don't know why welfare even came up. Looking in the comments, Will G says, once again, Trump ain't shit, the opening phrase. Also says, ain't shit, ain't ish. Okay, enjoy your golden shower. Are you saying that the Trump supporters, MAGA, are going to receive a golden shower from Trump? That's pretty harsh. Looking in the comments, sorry, but life doesn't go on by feeling. That is true. That is 100% true, but that doesn't mean you're not entitled to have them. ACW says, you know why it came up. I'm not going to speculate. I'm going to leave it to the audience. Tap the screen, though. I am going to ask you guys to do that so we can help out with the algorithm, bring in more MAGA. You know the program always will be MAGA friendly. I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Nevertheless, MAGA are my preferred guests. We go left to Bernie Sanders, Trump having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak. That's how free speech works, which is why I gave my last caller a chance to respond to that statement in kind. But tap the screen, get the likes up, YouTube as well. You can be critical of anyone in the comment section up to and including the host. That's how we do it here. Looking in the comments, ask Alexa, what's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, says More Crew. Before I go to the next caller, Alexa, what is the difference between Democrats and Republicans?
While Democrats and Republicans differ on various ideals, generally Democrats are considered liberal and support a bigger role of government in the economy, higher taxation, and social welfare programs. The Republicans, on the other hand, are considered conservative with general support for a smaller government, lesser taxation, and free market economy. By the way, I am trying to respond.
Alexa, stop. I actually agree with that. I don't think she got anything wrong. Before we go to the next caller, USA, often said many times over, 1776, MAGA, I enjoy your channel. Thank you for seeing our side and making valid points. I enjoy seeing your side as well. USA, thank you. Appreciate that, and thank you for the support. When I see 1776 written like that, I kind of remember the woman walking through the Capitol building. 1776, she had the bullhorn. Let me go back to the box. Been a big week. Righteous Beast. Love the name. Good evening, Righteous Beast. We're covering a weekend review. Trump has done more probably in the last week than Biden's done in the whole last year. But was it good? Righteous, good evening.
Let me just start by saying I actually saw you on YouTube about a week and a half ago. I left you a super chat, and I wanted to speak with you. And you told me I could only speak with you if I came to TikTok. And so here I am on TikTok. I appreciate the opportunity. I've never been on TikTok. These have been a pretty enlightening last few days. And it's an awesome app, and I think I want to stick around.
Awesome. Well, let me make it clear for folks who may not understand what you're talking about. YouTube does not give me an ability to actually speak verbally with the guests, but a lot of the comments you hear me reading are coming from YouTube. So I don't ignore my guests because most of my MAGA viewers are on YouTube. But when he says speak to me, he means like we're doing now verbally. So it ain't that I ignore you if you're typing in. It's just verbally TikTok. And by the way, we're on Instagram right now too. Instagram Live is where we are. So if you got Instagram, the handsome liberal there, the floor is yours. Righteous Beast, I love the name.
Thank you. So let me just start by saying a few days ago, day before yesterday, I think I heard the young lady you were just speaking to before, and Honestly, man, it's an embarrassment to hear young ladies like her speak about Donald Trump or about the state of the country. I voted for Barack Obama. I'm 45 years old. I live in Georgia. Um, They'll let you know that I'm a malleable voter. I am willing to go with whichever party is going to cater more to me and my family. I have 6 children. I have 2 college graduates, 4 at home. I voted for Donald Trump in 2016 because most people didn't want Hillary Clinton to be the president. But under the leadership of Donald Trump, I think we saw some really spectacular things happen as far as HBCUs, opportunity zones, PPP loans, securing our border, the economy, black business ownership. I just thought it was overall a really, I felt much more like there was someone actually fighting for the American people. But the last 4 years, when you hear these people, like the young lady who just spoke, degrading Donald Trump and berating him, I wonder if she had anything to say for the last 4 years, seeing our borders completely open, wide open, millions of illegal citizens coming into our country and being treated better than any African Americans ever been treated, living in high rises in New York, Chicago, and California, getting free housing, free medical, free cash cards, and being treated better than we've ever been treated, better than our parents have ever been treated. And then to have the nerve to go and vote for more of that. I'm a black man. I don't like war. Donald Trump in 2016 was the first president in 41 years to not get us into any war quagmires. He didn't start any wars. Even Barack Obama destroyed Libya and Muammar Gaddafi. Trump, he wanted peace through strength, and it actually worked. But now we're supposed to fall in line because we look a certain way with a party that hears us say we don't want war, but they want to fund wars that are destroying innocent Palestinian women and children, and innocent Palestinian men. I don't care if it's a man, woman, or child. If they're innocent, leave them be.
Okay.
We have Democrats.
Okay,
We have Democrats signing missiles.
Okay, let me get it because you covered quite a bit. I did do you just.
I'm sorry.
No. Listen, this is what we do. You're totally. I totally appreciate you coming on. I don't mind you covering it, but I want to get in there and push back and see how we can hash out some of your points. Now, first of all, you talked about he's done more for HBCUs and black businesses. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, you need to convince the other black people. Most black people do not agree with that because he didn't do very well with the black vote at all. So clearly you see something that the black community just does not. I mean, the HBCU.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
We are an very easily led people. Donald Trump signed legislation that gave HBCUs $250 million a year for 10 years, which went past any 2 presidential terms. When they came back in 2017, he asked them, he said, "Why are you guys back?" They said, "Well, Mr. President, they make us come back every year." He said, No, we're not going to do that. And he signed it for 10 years. Look it up. Now, I do
I'm trying.
That post Donald Trump things have been different. But at that time, it was the first time that HBCUs had ever had that type of upliftment. He put opportunity zones. I live in Atlanta. He put opportunity zones in Atlanta for impoverished black communities. He asked us, what the hell do we have to lose? If you look at cities that have been run by Democrats for decades, look at Chicago. They call it Chirac.
Well, let me respond in regards to Chicago in liberal cities. I'm from Chicago, 30 plus years. I've lived in Milwaukee, some of these liberal cities. When you say that blacks are easily persuaded or whatever the case may be, I think it is something interesting that I don't care how bad a liberal city is run, they will not vote for Republicans. We can talk about that to me, as opposed to blaming that on the media or people that are easily persuaded. That doesn't reflect well on Republicans. What is it about your party that is so easy to persuade people in liberal cities that you're not the best?
I'll tell you what it is. Our people have been conditioned to believe that we are perpetual victims. Therefore, the Democrat Party understands that all they have to do is tell our people that the other party is racist.
But you do realize Martin Luther King was a Republican himself. So clearly there's something. So clearly the African American community knows how to follow the right party. When he was Republican, most blacks were Republican back then. So it's
And now, let me ask you a question, Handsome.
yeah.
If you look at African Americans during that time,
Yeah.
if you took a photo of the black community at that time versus now, which would you say was the classy version of African Americans?
The ones that white people were mistreating more.
The ones back then, because we stood for something. We stood for class. We wanted to be equal. We wanted to be respected. And ask yourself what Lyndon B. Johnson meant when he said, "I'll have these blank words voting Democrat for
Well,
the next 20 years."
what he was doing was giving black people civil rights. In my opinion, if I'm being treated like shit and you show up to help me out, yeah, you're damn right I'm gonna be voting for you for the next 200 years. The other side wasn't doing it. So I think he had, and by the way, Trump would say the same damn thing. If he was doing something as significant as that while he was signing the bill, he would look at all the black people standing around the desk and say, this is really big for you, is it not? I'm gonna probably have your support for a long time. He would say that too. That's a legitimate pushback.
I don't think Trump would call us N-words. Lyndon B. Johnson actually said, "I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years." That underscores it underscores a motive, something that's hidden, that's not for the public to know. So if they already feel that you're less than them, keep in mind in 1861, Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president.
Okay.
And he ran for the party of the free man. And that was the party that fought to free our ancestors. Okay? It's the Republican Party. Of course, now the Democrats will tell you that there was some kind of magical switch, but we live in reality.
No, where are you getting it? I think some of the stuff you're saying, sir, you're telling me the party switch never happened.
Well, if you can tell me how a ubiquitous switch happens, and like right now it's 20.
You just covered it when you said I'm gonna be voting for you for the next. When you quoted what Lyndon B. Johnson said, that's what he was talking about. Is that I'm going to give you guys something that's going to make you vote for us for the next 100 years. You actually just covered it.
But you do understand what he meant.
Doesn't matter. That's the party switch happening in real time that you're denying.
That's not a party switch. That is the destruction of the nuclear family for black people.
Okay, if you want to call it that, that's fine. But what I'm saying is they were voting one way, and when he did that, they started voting for the other party. That is, even if you think it's a destruction of the nuclear family and all that, it is a party switch. They're voting Republican, and after that, they're voting Democrat.
What I'll say in closing, because I know you have other
So
guests
you're doing
to
good.
speak to,
Yeah.
is that when you have a party that sees black people being uplifted and coming through the marsh and becoming respectable citizens, and you decide we're going to give you something, but what we give you, you can only have if your family is destroyed. And if the father comes back home, then you can't have it anymore.
And what is the other party doing?
The other party wasn't doing anything. That's why we didn't vote for Republicans.
I want you.
But you do know Trump is different from the other party. That's why everybody understands that Trump wasn't either wing of the same bird. Why do you think George Bush was sitting where he sat during the inauguration? Because they are wings. They are part of the same animal. The Mitt Romneys, the John McCain.
So if you wanna say that they're part of the same animal, then people are going to point out that he put all of the billionaires in the front row. Does that mean they're all part of the same animal too? Because he gave them better seats in his own cabinet.
You do know that these billionaires are all part of a new generation of people who want to do something different. They're not part of the old guard. Zuckerberg,
How do we know?
Musk, these are all young people who are what we would consider geniuses of business and of finance. But
Hold on. You're saying that Zuckerberg and all these folks are genius. They want to do all this. A year ago, you guys were treating Zuckerberg like he was Satan himself. I don't know what to believe.
You're absolutely right. A year ago, Zuckerberg was the boogeyman, and it was fine on the other
and
side.
now you like him. I want you to hear something.
I didn't say I like him.
Okay.
I didn't say that. I'm talking about Trump. Trump has to take the help that he can.
Yeah, but I want to tell you that you don't give a bunch of billionaires better seats than your own cabinet. That sets an interesting message. You got the folks that are not going to be running the country sitting in front of the people that are. It makes it look like maybe these are the people you're going to have running the country.
But you do know Elon Musk is going to be over the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, but Zuckerberg and all of. Oh, I want you to hear this before I move on, because we mentioned the party switch. I've played this on the program before, and I'm glad to have you here. Maybe you've heard this before. It's only a minute.
I don't think I have. Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, listen to this.
President Biden will become the first sitting president to speak during a Sunday service at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where Reverend Martin Luther King was once a pastor. King appeared on Face the Nation in May of 1964 when he was working along with President Johnson to get the Civil Rights Act passed.
Dr. King, in light of recent statements of Senator Barry Goldwater and, in some cases, Richard Nixon, do you think there is a real danger of the Republican Party becoming the white man's party in this country?
I think this is a real danger, and I've talked with some Negro Republicans who are very concerned about this. I see trends and developments which will reveal that unless the liberals of the Republican Party take play a much more decisive role in leadership positions, this will become a white man's party. And I think this would be tragic for the Republican Party as well as...
Now, you know there are no liberals currently in the Republican Party. I mean, the party switch is happening in real time during that interview. There's a reason why he's talking about he has a fear the Republican Party is going to become a white man's party and the liberals in that party need to speak up. So when people tell you that the switch didn't happen, then what the hell, why is he talking about liberals in the Republican Party needing to stand up?
I got two pieces of information.
Yeah,
Donald Trump used to be a what?
a Democrat.
If he switched over to a Republican, he'd be a what Republican?
If he switched over to a Republican, he would be a conservative Republican.
He would be a liberal Republican.
No.
If he wasn't
Pro-life, pro-2A? No, he would not be conservative.
Hold on.
I mean, liberal.
Being pro-life isn't being conservative.
It's
That's
liberal.
just being natural. To me, that's just being natural.
It's political. Come on now. You know, if you're talking about giving a woman the right to choose, and you got a choice between liberals and conservatives, one are going to be in favor of that and one is not.
Handsome. I had this debate earlier. Listen, if the right to choose only applies when the right you're fighting for is the extermination of life, it's not a choice. You're fighting for only one side. You'll never hear a person say, I'm fighting for the right to choose, but we're choosing to have life. It's only one direction.
I'm simply saying when it comes to the right to choose or being pro-life, you know what side of the aisle politically that stands on. To suggest that that's not politicized is insane. You know that's politicized.
I'm not saying that it hasn't been politicized. I'm saying that what used to be the norm has been politicized. Most normal people would have always agreed that protecting life is a good thing. These same liberals who will fight for the right for a woman to choose to exterminate a life are the same people who will be upset if a dog's baby loses its life. So it is politicized.
I'm not here to argue what's right or wrong, because in my opinion, if you're for the death penalty, you're not pro-life. I mean, you just saying that your reason to take a life is valid and the mom's is wrong. I mean, you're still killing somebody. So I don't...
You can say that's not necessarily true. I can be pro-marriage, but not pro-gay marriage. You understand? You can be pro-life, but if a person takes the life of a family member, that's going to change in your perspective.
Right. So if you're pro-marriage but not pro-gay marriage, then to me it just sounds like you hate gay people. That's all I'm hearing.
It's not necessarily that you may hate gay people. You might have a foundational tenet that you believe in.
Okay.
Some people still believe in the old law.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point, is you're just simply saying my way of thinking is right and your way is wrong.
No.
Yeah, it is. You're telling a gay person, my way of marriage is right, your way is wrong. You're telling a woman that wants the right to choose, when I see a person that's a criminal take a life, my belief that that person should lose their life is right. The way you feel about your child is wrong. I mean, you just believe your way is right and their way is wrong. You're still taking a life. You're still getting married. You just believe in your way of doing it.
No. If a person quotes the Bible and they believe in God, they're telling you what God says, not what they say.
Exactly. And people who read the Bible tend to think what's in the Bible is right and what's in the Quran or other religions is wrong.
Correct. And that's what we have freedom of religion.
Exactly. So that's what we're talking about. You believe your way is right and other people's way is wrong.
I'll just say this in closing. There's no creation without a creator. And I believe that our creator is the divine creator of our Bible, and that we've moved very far away from him, and we need to get back to him. I appreciate the opportunity, brother. God bless you. Keep doing your thing, and you'll see me making live soon.
Excellent. Invite me on. I'll certainly come through. Thank you for coming through, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on with the program. And as I say, folks, we're all about free speech here. We don't have to agree on the damn thing. Me and my last caller were certainly sparring back and forth. He's always invited back to the program. Doors always open. Looking in the comments, I agree, Neptune. Y'all poor motherfuckers are done. Who's done? The guy wants small government for him, but big government for everyone else. Yeah, I think that everybody says they're for small government until they can get the government to do something they want them to do. Like, for instance, refusing to give people FEMA funds unless they have voter ID. That's using big government to do that. Or, you know, the whole pro-life, pro-choice. I'm pretty sure the right would have no problem with big government interfering with that. So people tell you they're for small government, but if big government will do their bidding, they're totally okay with that. Continuing on the program, though, tap the screen. 20,000, can we get about a minute of good taps from you folks would get me where I'm talking about. Get the likes up on TikTok. Before we continue on with the next caller, I do want to respond in kind to a super chat that I believe I missed. Will G says, if MAGA lost their savings on Trump, memes he got a little Bitcoin or whatever that cryptocurrency. If MAGA lost their savings on Trump's meme coin, it's a golden shower. A reporter asked Trump about that very thing and called making a few billion peanuts. He didn't want to admit how much money he's made since he's already been in office. But now my last caller said these billionaires are going to do what's right by America. Possible. I can't say they are not, because we have it. The jury's still out. Zuckerberg and Bezos and Musk, they might actually do a lot great for America. I can't speak on it because it hasn't happened yet. Red Alma Akuma King, appreciate the support. Thank you. But there's no denying that all of those folks have made a lot of money since Trump got elected. Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg, Trump, they're making a killing. I don't know how beneficial financially it'll be to us. A lot of us perceive, well, the economy is going to get better or whatever, tax on tips, overtime. But they're making insane money. They're making insane money since Trump got elected. J Aviation says, pardon Diddy, make freak-offs great again. Well, the freak-off is not the only thing Diddy was doing. I mean, he's beating women and, I mean, for the most part, holding women in bondage and captivity. That, you know, that's not cool. I mean, he did a lot more than, I mean, look, there are ways to, if you want to get into lifestyle, what they call it, upside down pineapple for some of you folks who know what I'm talking about, there are ways to have legalized freak-offs. His wasn't legal, and it doesn't sound like it was consensual. Will G, but before I continue, I mean, I guess now that we've pardoned the January 6th protesters, I guess pardoning Diddy wouldn't be that bad. I mean, you know, they beating the hell out of cops and stunning them and threatening to take their guns and take the life of the vice president. I guess you could pardon Diddy under that circumstance. Will G says, the caller, my last caller ain't shit. Damn. Now he was an African American, Will. He was a black man. That was a black man I was talking to. So obviously black folks have different opinions. I mean, he was a black guy. I did not know that until he told me. He said the caller ain't shit. Very ignorant. Little does he know that black Republicans back then were progressive, fighting for freedom and equal rights. 100% true, which is why I kind of pushed back when he said Trump, if he was a Democrat, he would be a progressive, you know, or a liberal. That did make sense, but that is true because Republicans tend to, conservatives, I won't say Republicans because it's the conservative versus liberal argument, not really Republican versus Democrat. The conservatives tend to favor a traditional America, like what the founding fathers intended. The liberals tend to favor progressing, evolution, evolving, constantly pushing the Constitution, the limits, adding amendments, making changes. That's what the liberals tend to do, which is why you've had stuff like civil rights, and you've had stuff like gay marriage, and now they're fighting for trans rights and all. That's progressive shit. The traditionalists don't want that. They want the country the way the founding fathers intended. That's why you hear traditionalists or conservatives always talking about the Constitution. The liberals don't talk about that as much because they want that document to evolve. The conservatives be talking about stuff like the Second Amendment and all, stuff going back to the traditional era, which should make it clear freeing slaves was not traditional. That was evolution. That is progressive movement, which is why the Republicans back during the emancipation, when they were abolishing slavery, they were called progressives because they were doing something that obviously the founding fathers never intended. Founding fathers never intended for blacks to be free. I'm currently reading O'Reilly, of all people. His book, Confronting the Presidents, talks about that. Bullshit. These are the same Republicans that believe in trickle-down economics. Well, we know that. I think we all know the Republican Party favors trickle-down versus trickle-up. Going back to the box, Trump 2025 says he's already in, so I don't know what that means unless you meant to type project 2025. The Constitution was supposed to be rewritten every 20 years, says Andy. Yeah, well, they sure didn't do that. Continue on with the program. Faceless American. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Trump in Review. The weekend review is what we're doing here. How have you liked this? The last 5 days has probably been more busier than Biden's whole last year. But do you favor what you've seen? How do you like what's been going on, Faceless?
Well, I don't know if you remember any of the conversations from the time that I've been on here, and I've always said that even though I support a lot of Trump's policies, I'm not a Trump woohoo, But
Fair enough.
I'm waiting to see what happens. I like a lot of the stuff he's doing. He has brought a lot of money into the country. Japan, Saudi, you're looking at, nearly $2 billion in investments. They got land picked out already for building in Texas, and they're looking for other locations to build their AI and data storage and stuff for
Any evidence of how this is going to benefit the average American, though? I believe the oligarchs, the Zuckerbergs and Bezos, they're going to make a killing. But what about the average American?
They wouldn't do it if they weren't going to make money. That's what they're in it for. But I think it's going to create a lot of jobs. So you've got the jobs, you've got the investment, you've got a lot of positives that come with it.
Now, any idea? Because you mentioned creating jobs. He's talking about closing everything down from FEMA to all of these different departments. Those are people's jobs. Obviously, he's costing a lot of jobs too, though, right?
Well, he is costing jobs, but I think if we ride this out and see where it goes, I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think it is. Anybody with an ounce of common sense knows that whenever you change something and you reform things and you move things around, that it gets harder before it gets better. You know what I mean? If you change your budget and you're spending, $100, $200 a week on entertainment, but then you're like, man, we got to knuckle down. Mm-hmm. We can only get that, $1.55 blockbuster movie. We can't go out and have popcorn and cheesy breads and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, but what about the language coming out of his mouth? He's talking about replacing FEMA and letting the states cover their own disasters. Is that even possible? Let's say a state like Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina, for instance, where they had, that still remains the largest displacement of Americans in one disaster. Could they have handled that on their own, Louisiana?
Well, from a historical point of view, when you look back at it, that's what states did. States had fires. I think there was a fire in Chicago, a major fire, and it rebuilt itself. That created new construction companies. That created new, electricians. That created, it helped build them back stronger. So it does have its advantages.
So you do believe a state like Louisiana, with no federal assistance, could have sustained Hurricane Katrina and rebuilt itself?
That's where I'm torn, because a lot of the states I think you mentioned Mississippi. A state like Mississippi would be screwed.
Yeah.
They could do it to a point. But I think that they're there should be concessions in there for aid, but to go in and just say we're going to pay for everything, all that does is puts it back to the way it was when you could have a stronger city or a stronger state.
Yeah.
So
Here's what go ahead. Go ahead. Here's what concerns me. We've had 200 plus years in this country to see, to get a little research and analyze how certain things work. And what makes me kind of hesitant, or it leaves me baffled to some degree. Why go back to some policies of the past where we're sure as to why they were changed to begin with? Like a woman's right to choose, for instance. We know why they legalized a woman having the right to choose. Bad things were happening. And states' rights, we know why they went from states' rights to a larger federal government. I mean, we know how the states treated people. In fact, I always say on the program, even now, anytime you hear the phrase states' rights, it's usually the states trying to take the rights away from someone. I don't want to marry two gay people, or I don't want to let this person do that, or I don't want. It's never to expand rights. It's almost always used to compress rights. Why do we want to go back to that?
I honestly don't know. And I hate to say it. I am a Christian, but I'm probably one of the worst Christians out there because I do believe in.
What are you, Catholic?
No.
Okay. You got a priest collar on while you're talking to me?
Baptist.
Okay, all right.
But I don't like abortion. I don't like the thought of it.
I get it.
I understand there's certain circumstances, and when my kids were when I found out I was going to be a father, I had to think about this and talk to this with my wife at the time. What if it's something that is going to be where my child or our children can't fend for themselves on their own when we pass? As they're adults and they need care. My mother worked in the state.
You wouldn't tell them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, would you?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
So, like I've said before, there's a lot of things that I don't like, but I do think that this country needs a severe enema. And I'm not opposed to those. I'm not opposed to it. Does. You look at the corruption, you look at the things that are going on, and nobody with an ounce of common sense can say.
But wait, hold on. You're saying the country needs an enema. You're pointing out corruption in this country. You do realize we elected a guy that pardoned all of the January 6th participants. I'm not going to defend Biden's pardons. Biden's pardons are bad too, but is that the guy to get rid of corruption after doing that on the first week?
Well, some of the people I can understand. When they're pulling old ladies out of their houses because whatever, the people that were walking around picking up garbage.
The old lady herself, I know who you're talking about. The old lady herself is on record telling Trump, do not use my story for political advantage. She stated herself, we should not be pardoned. We actually did this.
But I think that anybody that assaulted a police officer on the Capitol grounds, I think that anybody who did damage, I don't think that they should be without some sort of repercussion.
What about giving them a free tour back to the Capitol building?
That one kind of stings a little bit. That one's kind of a kick in the nuts.
So the Capitol Police, when they're there for their own safety, so that nobody else comes in the Capitol building and does anything wrong, the Capitol Police will be stationed there and has to provide safety and protection to the same people that kicked their ass. This is getting rid of corruption and giving us an enema?
Like I said, man, it's a kick in the nuts.
I think Trump is the enema. I think Trump is the enema. That's a brilliant description.
But we do need to do something. We've got people out there working at home, and we're paying money on buildings, renting buildings, paying insurance on buildings. The government's spending how much? So either put those buildings to use, or get rid of the bureaucracy is what's killing us financially. We've got all these people out there, all these buildings that are supposed to be doing stuff, and then you look at silly things like the Pentagon can't pass a freaking audit. In how many years? Where's those hundreds of billions of dollars going? If not trillions of dollars going? These are things that need to be addressed. I'm willing to put up with a little bit of dipshittery in order to get something changed.
Well, it depends on what it depends on what your definition of dipshittery is, because I mean, you're talking about police that are claiming that they thought they were about to die that day.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about apartment complexes in Colorado being taken over by immigrants and all that, but the Capitol building being taken over by people that are threatening to kill the vice president. That doesn't get in. Those folks get treated like a hero. But the immigrants in Colorado, now we got some bad guys.
But, on the same hand, though, there are people that were put in, and the mistreatment of those people, I mean, it might as well have been a Russian gulag.
What do you mean?
You've got people that were, like putting people into solitary confinement, them not wanting to release them, after the pardon because whatever reason, but, were these people fighting? Were they, and there are reports of that.
But here's what I don't understand. If I went out, because people often bring up the Black Lives Matter protests as well. If I went out and tried to take the lives of a few cops, people who are higher up in society, maybe a couple federal officers, or maybe the chief of staff to the local mayor or something, everybody would assume everybody would understand why the government is heavy-handed on me, or why I got a heavier sentence than if I took out you or a regular American, or why I'm in solitary confinement. 'Cause all of a sudden, they go after the vice president. People expect them to be treated like somebody that robbed a CVS of some groceries. I mean, do we realize the scope of what they did?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I think it is too. I think that's what it is.
I don't differentiate between. I mean, I would be just as pissed if it were Black Lives Matter or whatever group, a liberal group, some college group doing whatever. I mean, violence is the last resort.
But that's not. I hear what you. But let me interrupt you to say this. America is often heavy-handed on people that threaten our sovereignty or do something of heinous. Like, for instance, when Bin Laden did what he did, we went to 3 countries starting wars. I mean, we're going to treat, if you're threatening to take out the VP and all of the heads of state, because all of Congress and the Senate were in that building that day, it's not going to be the same as going in Best Buy and stealing a few TVs. I don't get why people keep comparing this to Black Lives Matter. 100 years from now, some old man or some historian bringing up the Summer of Love will be completely irrelevant. But what happened at the Capitol building, that'll still be getting talked about. So I don't understand why people even comparing those two things.
You've just struck on something right there. Everybody on either side has to have something to bitch about. It's gotten to the point where we wake up in the morning and we go, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not saying we don't all bitch about stuff. I'm saying that they're making it sound like these two things are similar.
Yeah. And the level, a murder is murder.
But that's not true. That is not true. You know damn well. I think Faceless, that if you take out a cop, you're going to get treated differently than if you take my life. There is a difference between that. It's not the same.
Both parties should be put in prison.
But you do know that threatening to take the life of the VP is going to be different than the threatening to take my life. It's a big difference.
Yeah, you might as well just count yourself as getting tossed in.
Right. So why do they keep bringing up BLM and why they didn't get treated the same when you know you're taking out the heads of the U.S. government? I mean, this is crazy.
They got nothing better to say. They've got nothing better to compare it to.
Right.
They have to make themselves sound legitimate.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what, everybody does it. Everybody has some sort of a pissing contest. Nobody can just say, you know what, that was shitty. That was horrible. They always have to say, but if it was this, then, it would be different. If it was me, if it was, well, you get that because, I'm a white guy, so of course I get everything I want, but you blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And I will also add something else when they say, why weren't the BLM protesters prosecuted the same way? When you go and commit a crime in probably one of the most video recorded facilities in the country, you're doing it under high definition video. The streets of Ferguson, Missouri are not covered with cameras. You're really making yourself easy to catch. I mean, you're doing this on high definition TV. A lot of the places with a BLM riot, there's no cameras all over the damn place like that. So of course they're going to catch every little person.
Yeah, and it's sad. I wish we could all get along. I mean, you and I vary in different on opinion. If I saw you on the street, I'd, hey man, you want to have a beer? I like you. I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass what your opinion is as far as whatever. I don't judge you on that. You're entitled to it. But everybody wants to be mad about something. Everyone has to want to be a victim. And it's really getting old, man. It's getting old. I want people to look at the things that are happening. I want people to acknowledge it. I want to learn from it. And then move on.
Do you think that really can? But do you think that really can happen under President Trump as our leader when he attacked John McCain 2 years after the dude was dead and stuff like that? I agree with you. We should move on. He's not doing that though. So you want the people to wise up and unite while the leadership is still promoting division. I don't see how you do that.
Well, you can't.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can't. And you couldn't do it under Biden. You couldn't do it under Obama. You couldn't do it under Clinton. We couldn't do it under, we couldn't do it under any of them because I don't think we want to get along.
We're always going to be divided. We're always going to be divided to some degree, but Trump is on television a lot more than Obama, Biden, Clinton, or anybody else was. And every time he's on television, he's criticizing somebody. Anytime you put a microphone in his face, he's talking negatively about somebody. You can compare him to Obama and all of it. I mean, the level of insults and attacks on the other side from Trump is probably more than Obama, Biden, and Hillary Clinton combined because he talks a lot more.
It's a wrestling match, man. It's like the World Wrestling Federation. Is that a thing anymore? I don't know, but
yeah,
maybe
it's still. Well, he's out there wrestling by himself, though. If you counted how many times, Biden insulted Trump, and you count how many times Trump insulted Biden, I mean, you'd have to use a square root number, or you'd have to use an exponent to even make it make sense. I mean, it's just because Trump is in front of the camera a lot more.
He is pretty prolific with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I said, man, it's one of those things. He's doing some of the things that I want to see done for the country. As far as I want to see us have jobs, I want to see us be safe, I want us to have secure borders. I don't want us to fight about religion. I don't want us to fight about what gender you are, what bathroom you use.
In the middle of a Muslim ban, in the middle of a transgender ban, you're not gonna get it. I gotta move it on, but yeah, you said you don't want us to fight about religion in what he's banned the ability to transition. He's banning Muslims. You're not gonna get that. I gotta go though. I appreciate you coming through.
All right.
Thank you.
Always, man. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Same. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Moving on with the program though. Think about all the people that gave him crap, says Garden Goddess. I mentioned that earlier. Somebody else said the same thing. When you look at how many people Trump is attacking, well, look what they did to him. I mean, they tried to lock him up. They tried to take his life. I would be mad too, is what a lot of folks said. Can you imagine? Let's take Martin Luther King, for instance. I played a video clip of him earlier. Now, he was successful in getting the Civil Rights Act passed. Now, we all know he was threatened. Well, he ultimately got killed. They didn't try to take his life. They did. But you got to think the dude probably received 1 million death threats, was called the N-word probably so many times you couldn't count. Can you imagine if he did the same thing Trump did? Well, they always attack me, so I'm going to attack them back. You think he would have even been successful in getting the Civil Rights Act passed if he returned the vitriol? I just want to point this out for folks who say, well, the liberals got Trump derangement syndrome. You think MLK derangement syndrome would not been the order of the day if he took Trump's advice? I'm going to attack everybody back that attacks me. You think it would have worked out well for him? Probably would have got shot in the face a few days earlier. So I get that people are attacking Trump. Damn it, they attacked Obama. In fact, Trump was one of the main ones attacking him. Notice how the other presidents did not do that? George W. Bush, I still can recall in his book, Decision Points, which I have behind me, talked about how awful it made him feel when Kanye West got on Saturday Night Live during the middle of Hurricane Katrina and said Bush does not like black people. Some of you folks may remember that. Hurricane Katrina, George W. Bush was considered a failure on that catastrophe. Kanye West got on television and said George Bush does not like black people. That's a pretty strong insult. Pretty much saying he's a racist. Notice George W. Bush did not attack him back. So I don't know why there's this sort of extra room for Trump. Well, Trump should attack them all back. No, you can't complain about why so many people dislike him or why folks have derangement syndrome if you're encouraging him to get in fights like that. Whatever happened to just, as MLK said, turn the other cheek? Whatever happened to that? Anyhow, looking in the comments, as if somebody says they look at him now though, says LOL. Damien, I'll tell you this though. I don't know. What do you think? You think history will judge Trump more favorably than Bush? I don't know. The jury's still out on it. I definitely think Trump would have been judged more harshly if he had not got reelected. But let's see what happens. Let's see if he does some things for the country that are great. But his first 4 years are probably stained by January 6th and his claim that the election was stolen. So let's see, but I don't know about that one. I don't know. Looking in the comments, best dresser in the White House. Who was that? Let me go back to the box, continue on with the program. Andy, good evening. Welcome to the program, Andy. Dwight Handsome or Panama? What are you talking about there, Den Cow? Andy, good evening.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm just trying to figure out how Trump became a victim because Trump started out razzing Obama about being an American.
Yeah.
And so Trump just got the same thing back that he gave out, but all of a sudden he's a victim. If you don't want to face trial, don't commit crime.
I got an analogy, or I want to say analogy, but here's the way I look at it. You know how some people, their child cannot do wrong. You know, even some of these gangbangers at the funeral. My kid was a good old boy, knowing he was out in the street being a killer.
I call that not my kid syndrome.
Yeah, I believe that MAGA gives Trump that same type of courtesy. Like, my kid can't do no wrong. That's why when you say, well, how did he become a victim? He's like the mom at the funeral. My son didn't do no wrong. I really think that in the middle of Fifth Avenue shows that Trump realized a lot of people believe he can't do no wrong. For him to say something like that. So that's probably what you're dealing with.
Well, I don't know. A bunch of people in Alabama about to feel like they're victims to Trump's new FEMA plan. Because Alabama can't afford to clean up those tornadoes and hurricanes. Matter of fact, Trump cost us millions the time he drew the hurricane on the thing with the Sharpie because they started the evacuation process.
I do remember that. So how does he get reelected? If he's as troublesome as some folks are saying, how does he win so convincingly?
I keep hearing his voters say he's not going to do that, and now he's doing it. They're shocked. And I'm like, we told you.
Well,
We told you.
Well, here, my opinion. Go ahead.
I saw Takesha Blue, and I hadn't seen her forever. I loved Keisha. Like, she is my heart.
Okay, but
You can bring her up. I'd rather hear her talk to me.
no, Takesha Bowie, we talked earlier. And I see the comments. Mr. Blackerville says, "Shot in the face 2 days earlier." Tim, you on it? Well, I'm just simply saying, if Martin Luther King did what Trump
Wait,
did,
who did that? It was a Republican. A Republican took that shot. It wasn't a Democrat. That boy on the roof was a registered Republican. Y'all need to quit blaming that shit on Democrats.
you talking about the person that struck Trump in the ear.
Yeah, he was Republican.
Yeah. Well, you know something. I said this when that was happening, when Trump was blaming those assassination attempts on a Republican, on Democrats, and said they're trying to take his life. I'm like, you realize you got a whole lot of Republicans that don't like you too. I mean, Robert Mueller's a Republican. I mean, Comey was a Republican. Pompeo, the guy he just took away his Secret Service protection, Bolton. You got a lot of Republicans that would probably want you to get hit too. It ain't all. You can't just assume somebody taking your life as a Democrat at this point. You don't piss off a lot of people.
Republicans want them to hurt Democrats, but they don't want them to hurt them. So when Alabama hears we're going to take away your FEMA money, they're like, well, damn. Because they thought that was just going to happen to California. I'm living for this. I'm just telling you.
I don't know. I mean, Trump you got to give him a chance. He might actually do some good. And I see Takesha said, I love you too, but he might actually do some good. Is it possible that maybe it'll work out?
Wait, what good is he going to do when he's up there trying to get rid of an amendment to the Constitution by executive order? Like, you cannot get rid of birthright citizenship by a strike of a pen. You can't.
Well, I mean, we have changed amendments in the past. Some people believe that you should not automatically be entitled to citizenship if you're not here legally. If you have a kid that's not here legally.
Well, hey, by that same token, we can get rid of Tommy Tuberville as Alabama senator because he don't live here. I'm just saying.
Those are white people. You can't do it to white people. But no, there's some people who believe. Some people believe that, yeah, you can't just come across the border and pop out a kid and expect that kid to have citizenship. Did I lose you, Andy?
How many kids Elon got here?
How many?
Figure that out.
Elon is an infinite wealth. You can't buy your way into a country. Yeah, I mean, ain't nobody gonna kick Elon's kids out. I mean, in fact is, I don't care.
What about those H-1B visa holders he wants? I mean, why are we kicking them out if we're bringing them in?
I don't know how they doing this. They believe these folks that are here illegally are, harming and sexually assaulting women, so they believe these folks are violent criminals.
But Trump, but yet we can let Trump release the guy who founded the Silk Road, who literally traffics like everything, including people.
After those January 6th pardons, I gotta agree with you. Any notion that you want to get bad hombres out of the country while you simultaneously are pardoning bad hombres and inviting them back to the Capitol building for a free tour, yeah, it does hurt the credibility, because all of them weren't just innocent old ladies that were on the outside. Some of them folks were true felons. And I mean, not only that, but
I was more disheartened to sit here and watch Trump shut out his faithful people and replace them with the dictators of all these right-wing countries, like the vice president of China, to watch him get inaugurated while his faithful were stuck out in the cold. No parade, no nothing.
Yeah. I've heard some folks suggest that maybe Trump has talked to some of those folks on how to become similar. And that's why he was inviting them over, show them, solidarity or whatever that he might want to be.
Viktor Orban taught him. Viktor just couldn't make it. I think that is literally Donald Trump signaling to the world that we changed sides.
What are you suggesting?
None of our allies were there.
What are you suggesting? We're on the cusp of becoming the Axis powers?
Yep.
Well, until I start seeing allies bowing out, I can't necessarily agree with you, but he does.
Did Denmark and Greenland tell us to go F ourselves this week?
Yeah, I mean the former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, back in the day, told Trump to fuck himself too when he was talking about, I'm not going to pay for the fucking wall. But I mean, that's just words. And when I see people actually start getting away from the United States, through treaties and agreements, then I'm agree with you. I'm going
to waiting for Donald Trump to break the treaty and go after one of our allied nations so that they can kick us out of NATO, which is what he wanted anyway, and that'll put us squarely in the position I said we were heading for anyway.
Yeah, if
as soon as he goes after Canada, it'll be on.
Well, he wants Canada to become a state, so he's almost telling Canada, like the remember the Gaston flag, join us or die, the 13 colonies? He's almost giving Canada that kind of ultimatum.
We always talk about how bad our army is, right? How big and bad and tough we are, but literally, we don't go anywhere without our allies. And how have we done the last few? Did we have a clear win?
Wait, say that again?
I don't think so. I think that our troops are depleted from that long, drawn-out thing in Afghanistan. I think that the shit Trump's doing right now, by taking the woke people out of the military, is going to deplete it even more. And then he thinks they're going to be military ready. No.
I think that any of our allies that may be concerned with some of the stuff that Trump is doing are also, to some degree, sitting back and chilling. Because you got to remind yourself, regardless of how it looks, he supposedly only has 4 years. Now, I know there's already a Tennessee congressman talking about, a bill to get Trump a third term. There's already one Republican talking about doing that. But right now, he only has 4 years. So some of these folks are like, don't rush to judgment. He sounds like a true cowboy, but he's out in 4 years. He's out in 4 years.
4 years. I think the reason why the Heritage Foundation created the word Trumpism is to do away with Trump. Let's be honest. He is not their ideal person for that job. J.D. Vance is the ideal person for that job.
Yeah, but Trump, but Trump has the actual backing that J.D. Vance would never be able to dream of.
Does he?
Yeah.
For how long? For how long making these decisions, getting rid of FEMA for the states until Alabama's about to have tornado season. Let's see how long that lasts.
I'll tell you something though. Even if Trump,
Let's see how long Tommy Tuberville keeps that good favor too, because Alabama's a fickle bitch.
even if
Look, we sent Doug Jones to Donald Trump. So don't think that you can't convince Alabamians to flip if they feel like they're being wrong.
they're not gonna flip to the liberals, you're not gonna get Alabama to go blue.
Well, how did Doug Jones get up there?
I'm talking about at the state level though. That state, you're not gonna get a blue governor or you think that's
a
possible?
senator. We had a blue governor in 2003. What are you talking about?
In this day and age, these divisive times.
Alabama has been blue in this century.
I mean, anything is possible. I don't see it though.
Because Alabama are some hateful people. You don't live here, you don't know. They are fickle as hell. It don't matter if you were on their side, if they feel like you screwed them. Look at what they did to Roy Moore. They will do that to Donald Trump if he hangs them out to dry and don't send no money down here. I'm telling you.
I see Will G says they are looking for excuses to villainize brown people. Ugh. I happen to be a little bit brown.
There was already a rumor, and what Donald Trump said scared me. Because Tommy Tuberville, there was already a rumor when we had that mass pew in Birmingham that he wanted to unleash the guard
Yeah,
on the inner city.
didn't Trump
Did
say?
he do that?
Well, didn't he? Well, I haven't heard. He didn't do it officially, did he?
The governor had to come out and say that she wasn't going to do
Okay,
that.
all right.
That's how serious it got.
So let me ask you.
Tommy Tuberville said that he wasn't going to give any more money towards FEMA because in North Carolina, like he straight up said, we're going to try to false it down.
But let me ask you though. I get your criticism of Trump. Is it not possible though that he actually could do a lot of good for America? I mean, are you already solid in the camp that he is going to suck, or is it possible?
He's already done so much bad in one day. I don't see how it's going to get better.
Give me 3 of them. Give me 3 things you think he did that is really bad.
Getting rid of DEI, which means women don't have jobs, because that is how women get hired primarily. Not only that, and the tech industry will be devoid of women, because Zuckerberg already said it needs male energy.
Well, I'm going to push back and say some folks are suggesting that women are getting jobs they don't deserve to begin with. That's what they're telling you. That's why so many folks favor it.
Who's the most educated in the country? Who has the highest degrees? Women.
I'm just telling
So
you.
how is it women are the ones uneducated when women have the most education?
Yeah, but wait, Andy, all of these positions are not just education. I mean, like cops and military.
But like in my husband's office, like they'll pick a man over a woman because the tech industry is just that way. It is not these men are more educated. No, it's these men don't want to work with women who will tell them they can't say certain things in the office no matter how educated those women are.
Right.
No. And then he's trying to repeal birthright citizenship, which you can't do by executive
That's
order.
unconstitutional.
And then he wants to go after the Civil Rights Act. Like, how much more damage do you think he can do in one day?
What is he saying in the? Now I've heard some rumors about that. What is he saying that's wrong with the Civil Rights Act?
He's getting rid of the mechanisms that would enforce it.
Jesus. For what reason would he want to attack that?
Well, you tell me there, Tim. So when you ask me how much good can he do when he's done that much bad in a day, no, Tim, I don't see any good coming out of this.
Yeah. Well, I definitely would say this. It's a good time to be a white male, Christian, straight. It's a really good time. I mean, there's no denying that there's going to be some benefits, some gains for straight white Christian males. So it is a good time to be a straight white Christian male.
That's literally what Michael Flynn's preaching, to see nationalism now, isn't it?
Yeah, why would he want to get rid of the Civil Rights Act? I'm going to look that one up. Damn, that is a bit concerning. I haven't heard that in detail.
The protections that give it its enforcement. That's how you need to look it up. Enforcement, because that's where you're going to come out with the answer. Because these people in the comments, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got on my YouTube comment somebody is saying, "Girl, you're shaming Alabama since she's wrong, Tim. Not to worry."
No, I'm not. I'm not. I wished I was wrong.
I hope you're wrong on the. I hope you're wrong on the Civil Rights Act. I really hope you're wrong
I
on the
would
Civil.
rather be wrong than seeing this happen to the United States of America. Believe me.
Well, might be time to consider moving abroad if that's the case. Well, I have not heard that.
Where to run. Look at all the other countries that are turning right wing. This is the biggest ultra right wing movement on the earth. He invited, who was his, Farage, the Brexit dude. He invited, China. He invited, it is ridiculous. He invited Hungary. Like, you see people, there are people in the comments that think I'm right too, by the way. So
I'm looking on YouTube while you're talking, and there's plenty of folks on YouTube that are claiming that he's taking away the enforcement of the Civil Rights Act. I'm gonna have to listen to that. I don't want to play it while I'm on air, but I'm curious to hear his reasoning for doing it. What is it about the Civil Rights Act that you don't like? I mean, that is concerning. I'm just going to say that is concerning that so many people are claiming it. I need to see if their claims are valid. I know people sometimes criticize Trump, and they're not right, but he's went after DEI. I know he doesn't favor the transgender community. He is rolling back rights of other minority groups, women. So I need to hear it, but it is concerning.
You know, it's funny because women raised all the people on this earth.
Well,
so women can't be damn incompetent.
I can't, but I always push back and bring up this. I've told you this too, Andy. He won the women's vote. Women talking about he's taking away rights and he's anti-women. They voted for this dude.
And they're starting to find out. It is shocking to them. Like that woman that worked at the veterans thing. I can't believe you shut down all the hiring and froze it. I'm collateral damage. Like, MAGA is freaking out over the fact that they're losing their jobs. And I'm here for it. I'm just going to tell you.
All right. Well, like I said, women showed this guy love. So if for some reason...
Yep. And they echoed, now they're going to find out. I hate it for them. You fuck around, you find out, that's the way it is.
All right. Appreciate it, Andy. I got to move it on.
That's right, Dom. Weak women voted for Trump. See ya. Peace out.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, he won he definitely won the white women's vote. He didn't win the women's vote in any other category, talking about Hispanics, black women, but he won the white women's vote, and that's the majority of women in this country. So he got more than 50% of the women's vote. Edward says, but you're a trumpet, Tim. Really? How are the folks in the comments calling me a libtard every damn day? Saying I don't know what the hell I'm talking about? Appreciate you coming in. I appreciate the input, but that just shows when you're kind of in the middle, both sides think you're a piece of shit. I get a lot of folks telling me that, you're MAGA, you voted for Trump, and then the Trump people are like, you ain't one of us. Tap the screen, get your boy likes on up to about 40,000. We can certainly make that happen if you show the program some love. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. I want to respond to the super chat. Thank you, Will. Trump removed the executive order for equal opportunity and affirmative action in 1965. Like I said yesterday, I expect hazing to be back and sexual assault to skyrocket. I will say this. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on or how you feel about President Trump, whether he's going to do great things for America or you fear he's going to roll us back to 1920 and attack all minorities. Based on what I've seen so far, at the very least, I think there's a legitimate reason to at least be concerned. Because he is attacking all of these different areas, DEI, and, he's attacking civil rights. I mean, he is attacking this stuff. So this stuff was put in place to help marginalized communities gain a little ground. I mean, he's attacking them all simultaneously. Whether or not he's going to really hurt minorities or not, the jury's still out on, we'll see. But the idea that they have no reason to be concerned at all doesn't make sense to me. You would have a reason to be concerned. People died to get these acts put in place. To have him come and roll them back at the same time with people claiming that some of his folks are doing things like, you see what Elon Musk did on stage, which was only a symbol of saying my heart goes out to you. But all of this stuff is coming from the same administration in only 5 days. It looks funny. Not to mention the whole Project 2025 that Trump swore he has nothing to do with. Yet for some reason, a lot of stuff that looks similar to what was in there is starting to come to fruition. I'm just going to say, like I said, whether or not, we don't know what he'll be because it's only been 5 days. But the idea that people have no reason to be fearful of this stuff makes no sense. He is at least leaning in that direction. So, as I said, it is right now a really good time to be a straight white Christian male. I mean, it does look like this is your time, in my opinion, at least, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe it won't be. You know, you see a horse race and your horse in the first quarter length is way out front. Maybe your horse is going to lose. Maybe it'll be a close race. But right now, it looks like your horse is at least a length ahead of everybody else's. That's the way I look at it. We still got 3 lengths of the track left. But right now, my horse is, well, that horse, because it ain't mine, that horse is at least a length ahead. Look at it in the comments, though. Tap the screen as I ask you folks to do, if you will. I think that is the plan. Restore order for the white, straight Christian man, says Miss Connie. We'll see. We'll see. Bruh, are you talking to yourself, says Peanut. No, I'm talking to you. Thanks, and appreciate your input. No, I'm talking to you. Black people ain't going for it. Not this time well, you could always be beaten into submission. I mean, fact is, African Americans only represent about 14% of the population. You might get about 10, 15% of whites that sympathize with the issue. But from what I've seen, in my opinion, as long as you put a little bit of money in people's pocket, you strengthen their economy, and you make their lives better, they'll turn a blind eye to what is happening to other people. I mean, that's the way we are in this country. Me, me, me. As long as you're making my life better and you're doing things that I favor and I want, you know, what's happening to them is happening to them. I'm not for it, but it ain't my fight. That's how because I bring up all the time, and I'll go to the box after this. During the era of slavery, it cost a lot of money to own slaves. Only 1% of Americans owned slaves. Only 1% of whites owned slaves. Yet it continued for hundreds of years. So it ain't that the people may not necessarily be involved in what's going on, but they may be given an incentive to look the other way. I think it was Martin Luther King himself that said, all it takes for evil to persist is for good men to stand by and do nothing. I think you could easily make that happen. If he strengthens the economy, certainly if you get rid of DEI and some of these other programs, if you're white, naturally things are going to get better for you because now you don't have to compete with all these Negroes and Hispanics and people of color. So it's going to be a better time. Jobs are going to be more available to you. I mean, it is what it is. I think you can find plenty of people that would turn a blind eye under those conditions. Let me go back to the box, though. I mean, it is what it is. If I don't have to compete with you for a job, there's a better chance I'm going to get the job. MAGA Reacts. Good evening. Welcome to the program. The Civil War, not about slavery. Yeah. I don't. MAGA, good evening.
Hey, did I hear that right? The last caller said that women can't get jobs without DEI. Like, they don't have the skills or the knowledge, or that they're not smart and they can't get the jobs on their own, that they need DEI or they're not going to get hired.
Yeah, she did say something like that. I don't think women would be prevented from getting work, but I think the point she was trying to make is it would be acceptable to discriminate against women.
So we still got plenty of discrimination laws. If someone's discriminating against women, you can still sue them. You can still go after them. DEI is just some stupid shit.
Wait, hold on. Let me respond to what you just said. Hold on, I'll let you continue, but let me respond to what you just said. That you'll still have discrimination laws and all. If you make it so that it's not illegal Now your only option is for you yourself to hire an attorney. You know how much money that costs? If a company discriminates against you, you've greatly weakened that person because now the fight is all on their own. As you said, they got to hire an attorney and sue. Everybody can't afford to do that.
Yeah, well, that's also the problem with DEI. They can't hire an attorney and sue the companies that's discriminating against them through DEI.
Wait, say that again.
DEI is just stupid on both sides because it's not just like it's not just sex or race anymore. You have to be black or a woman and LGBTQ, and on top of that, you have to be poor. And yeah, there's so many like checklists. By the time they're done, they're ignoring like 99% of the population. So you're not getting a good employee if you're ignoring 99% of the population.
I'm trying to find out where is this big of a deal. I mean, a person who is highly qualified and educated most likely will be able to get a job. Why are we making it sound like DEI is preventing all these people from getting jobs?
Because if it's DEI has to do with things that people can't control. Like you can go to school and learn how to do a job. You can't go to school and learn to be black or gay or LGBTQ.
But you can be discriminated because of it.
Using it in hiring.
Let me ask it to you this way.
Reverse discrimination. It's reverse racism is what it is.
Let me ask this to you. So, if you're an employer and you don't want to hire women, should you be allowed to do that?
No, then you could get sued for that. But you also don't have to always hire women and ignore all men.
No, I agree with that, but I'm
It's bad on both sides is what I'm trying to say. I'm not for it or against it, but it's bad on both sides. You shouldn't do it either way.
Now, I'm also...
10, 20 years ago, we needed it because back then it was a different world and we didn't know better. But now we're more exposed to each other than ever before. Like back then, you could go all your life and not meet a black person. Today, even if you live in that kind of situation, you can still get exposed to them online. You can still get, the online world brought everybody closer together. So, like,
well, no.
Years ago.
No, you could. The reason why everybody's close together is because of these acts we're discussing. Because they could prevent people of color from using the internet and things like that if they wanted to. I mean, you could, just like certain countries can.
Be real. Did you just really say that?
Yes, I did.
They're gonna put a camera on every computer and every phone and only let you on if you're not black?
No, there's all sorts of passwords and codes. You could have an ID where, I mean, if countries can ban their entire population from getting on certain websites, you're gonna tell me you can't do it for certain people?
That's easier to do than blocking certain people from using the internet. That's so crazy.
No, the reason why, let me tell you.
Putting a firewall against the internet, it's a different thing.
No.
Putting a firewall. A firewall is digital. It could be expanded as big as you want. You can't put a firewall against every device.
Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Just like you got a social security number, a driver's license ID number, you got numbers that are associated with you. They could actually have you receive an internet number that is associated with you. If you as a person is on a site where your group is not allowed to, it's a felony. Now you might be able to find ways around it and do it, but now you could be a potential felon. And that would make it.
That, you guys always talk about how deporting all these people is going to equal the economy losing all this money. Imagine if you stop a whole race from getting online, you're going to lose a lot of money. They'd rather keep you online and keep you guys brainwashed using the internet than get you offline.
If you're going to bring up stopping a whole race of people from doing something that's going to lose you money, then you got to explain how we had discrimination for most of America's history. They don't care about the money when they're doing it. There are Americans right now that would love to. Hold on. There are Americans right now that would love to be able to ban from doing business with certain types of people. I always use my own self as an example because I was one.
Right now, they like to shit in a litter box. That doesn't mean anything anymore because it's such a minority. It doesn't matter anymore.
I don't know. Here's where you leave me baffled. I don't know why we think that if you go back and remove the protections from what we used to do in the past, that we won't go back to the past. I mean, there's a reason these laws are put in.
We don't even know that's true. That's something the last caller just made. As far as I know, made up. I never heard anything. I've been watching TV nonstop. and watching the news nonstop. I didn't hear anything like that. So I don't know where she got that from, but you know, I think that's just fear mongering. And you guys like to throw that word around a lot, but that's like true fear mongering.
Well, I can give you some examples of things you do know. I mean, if you, like, for instance, if you roll back a woman's right to choose, they immediately went to laws from the 1800s. I mean, it actually happened. So why would we think it won't happen in other areas?
Yeah, but it's because they haven't needed to update those laws. Once Roe versus Wade was gone, they have to update these laws now. They have to get rid of them. Like, they ignored them because they didn't really matter. But now that they matter, you could vote on them, get rid of them. And I'm talking about both sides. Not
I
just
don't,
the right
you
and the
know-
left. Like, the left could fight them, and the right could renew them. These laws were just ignored because, you know, Roe versus Wade didn't really require you to have any, you know, abortion laws.
Isn't Trump using archaic laws in regards to illegal immigration and things like that in the anchor baby stuff? Isn't he doing that now? Using all these old laws?
No, he's trying to figure out. I mean, what do you mean? The Constitution's old laws, like
No, what I'm saying is this: if they did something in history to right a wrong or right an injustice, and you remember what they did, I think it's crazy to expect that injustice won't come back.
Are you pro anchor babies?
I
You
am.
like the idea of anchor babies? Because I had my best friend, his father. That's what he did. He had people from like Spain and all over the world, Russia, all over. They fly in. He was their OBGYN. He basically delivered their baby for a lot of cash, and that was an anchor baby, and that's his business. His entire business was anchor babies. And even he hated it.
To answer your question, am I pro anchor? That's one of those issues where I'm not for or against. I mean, fact is, we're talking about poor people that would come here and, you know, if you're wealthy, you can buy your way into America. I mean, you can buy it. I know when I migrated overseas, there's a lot of countries that if you got enough money, you can literally buy your way into it. So the anchor baby thing is mostly something that's going to be used by people with lesser finances. So I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I don't think it's that big of an issue that you need to. I mean, most of the people that are in this country, undocumented or otherwise, I don't think most of them came by that way.
I don't know.
I don't think it's a big issue.
Things I just don't like the idea of it, and we're at least talking about it, and it's going to get discussed, and it's going to get figured out. Republicans are going to push one way, Democrats are going to push back, and that's what I'm hoping happens, and we get to the right answer in the end. That's how government works.
To me, based on what I'm seeing, Trump looks to be fairly anti-immigrant right now. Is there any legal way to get in this country? I mean, they took down the website. You can no longer seek asylum at all. They won't even let you get close to border security. Right now, there's no legal way to come.
Traditional visas. No illegal way to come. You can still come in using visas.
Yeah, but nobody can claim asylum at all.
Visas. You still come in using the H-1B. Isn't that the whole MAGA fight was about? H-1B visas?
What?
And how Elon and Vivek and even Trump is pro H-1B visa. You can still come in if you have a good skill that we need, or just a good skill in general.
Well, aren't they trying to get rid of that too, though?
No, Trump was for it. That was the whole fight. Bannon was talking shit about it, but Elon, Vivek, and Trump were like, no, we need H-1B visas. He's always said that I want to make it a better program where we let in the best of the best.
And
People that could support themselves, people that could.
What if you're running from the car? What if you're running from the cartel? You need to seek asylum.
Then once we balance out what what's his name did, what Biden did, and we're back to normal levels of immigration, then we could let those people in too. Then we could have.
Do you foresee a day at all when Trump will ever say, "I think it's balanced now. Let's go back to that"?
For sure, 100%. Like your callers like to say, like we need the immigrants, especially for all the jobs that Americans don't want to do.
That's the H-1B.
We have to.
That's the H-1B.
Well, the H-1B is more like college jobs or jobs that require actual like certificates and stuff. We're talking about like remedial jobs.
Yeah, you and I disagree. You and I disagree on that. Under Trump, the asylum seekers, that's never coming back. You don't. I mean, because you're talking about under Biden. Hold on. You're talking about once we correct the issue to under Biden. Even under Trump and Obama, there still was at least a few million of them here undocumented. You're never going to get it down to zero. And I think Trump will always say, as long as there's a few of them here that are undocumented, we ain't ready to take asylum seekers back. You'll never see that again under Trump.
Trump never said zero is the goal. And zero is never, you're right.
He didn't give you a goal at all.
The goal is to get back to the numbers that we're seeing, in Trump's term. So about 800,000 a year. We did 14 million in like 4 years. I think that's the number everybody agrees on, even though it's really hard to nail it down. But I think 14 million is a fair number. Even 10 million is like quadruple or triple.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think under Trump you're gonna get it. I mean, no matter how great he is at deporting people.
How about we get it down to 5 million and then we'll have the conversation again? I mean, we're still at 14, like we're still up there, and we're having this conversation. Let us, get the number down to a number that we could, give everybody jobs and everybody's working and no one's doing.
I don't know. When you say how about we get it down to 5 million. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, because Trump is known, anytime Trump gives you a number of anything, how tall he is, how much he weighs, how much he's worth, you cannot trust Trump's numbers. So when Trump says how many people are in this country undocumented, it's bigger than what it actually is. I mean, he is known for exaggerating numbers.
It's based on how the people feel. If the people stop complaining about immigration, then he'll concentrate on something else.
And they're not going to stop. They're not going to. MAGA is not.
People are going to get to the point where they're going to be like, oh, we don't have anyone to do these jobs. Let's let more people in. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and let them in.
Or the people.
Yeah, and don't let them in from shithole countries is what they're going to say. Let in some Europeans.
I mean, if Europeans want to go on the farm and pick corn or pick cherries, whatever, but the Europeans are coming in on visas. They can't just walk across the southern border like these people can. I mean, that's the difference. They have to come in on airplanes, where these people, some of them are coming in on airplanes to Mexico and then walking over, which I don't like that at all. But, these people you can't stop them.
All right, fair enough. I gotta move it.
It's a manageable number.
Yeah, I gotta move it on. But before I do, real quick, before I let you go, a paid tour to the Capitol building for the protesters. What say you?
No, definitely not. No, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's stupid. As far as January 6th, I know he did like a blanket thing, but if you look at the average amount of punishment people get for assault on a police officer, I doubt they get more than 4 years like these people did.
When do we ever have somebody threaten to take a cop or stun gun a cop, and we are focused more on the welfare of the person that did that than the welfare of the cop? Has Trump said anything at all about the actual cops?
The left made it political. They painted these people to be the worst of the worst.
But the left did not make Trump keep silent on how the cops are doing. Has he said anything at all about the welfare of these police officers?
I don't know. I mean, as far as I remember, there's only 1 or 2 cops that got really hurt, with the guy that got tasered and the guy that got hit by the baton.
So that should make it easy. So that should make it easier to talk about him then.
Yeah. One last thing. You keep saying that BLM has nothing to do with this. If they would have punished BLM like they punished January 6th, January 6th would have never happened.
I don't buy that.
Even a little bit tougher on BLM.
I don't buy that. There's no way in hell.
If you have a time machine, January 6th would have never happened.
That doesn't make any sense to me. You're talking about taking the life of the vice president. I don't care what happened with BLM. You know that you can't get away with that. I mean, they didn't mess with BLM, so I should be
the White House threatening Trump. What do you mean? Those people were right in front of the White House threatening Trump. They burned the church across the street.
It doesn't matter.
Trump had to go into the bunker, and just because the news doesn't talk about it doesn't mean BLM were any better.
I don't think
January
that
6th.
I don't think that those folks are
And I'm just
unethical.
talking about punishment. If
Yeah.
they would have arrested 1,200 or 1,500 BLM rioters and all that were one day worth of BLM, like, if they
That
do
makes
the
no-
worst
that
they
doesn't
can,
make
they
any
arrested
sense.
1,500 people like they did January 6th.
That doesn't make any
They're
sense.
gonna
First of
punish them
all,
for it.
it doesn't make any sense because the BLM protesters, those are state crimes. What you're doing is federal. So you're going to go and commit a federal crime and you're complaining about why the state didn't do something?
You see people riot and burn cities down and do all this shit, and they did attack federal courthouses, so they did do federal crimes too. And you see them do this for a year, and on one day you do it for a couple of hours. You break into the fucking Capitol to protest.
They
And,
didn't, but
you
they
know,
didn't do that.
like,
They beat up cops.
So did you telling me BLM didn't beat up any cops? They were throwing Molotov cocktails and rocks and fireworks. At cops.
What's still confusing me
They both
is
pepper sprayed cops.
what's really confusing me is that
They're throwing bricks at cops.
what's confusing me is that
Bricks
Trump
thrown at cops.
in MAGA suggested that BLM is a terrorist outfit, and then I'm going to go out and be a terrorism now. I mean,
And then the left compared January 6th to 9/11 and calling the January 6ers also terrorists.
but they didn't try to be like them. They didn't try to be like them. You're making it sound like the protesters are trying to be like BLM.
No, I give you the same example every time. You see your big brother get away with something all the time. You think you get away with it too, but you're not your big brother and you get in trouble or he doesn't get in trouble. That happens to every one of us. That's what happened. BLM was sort of the big brother, or even the little brother gets away with it, and then the big brother gets screwed. BLM, let's call him the little brother. They got away with it all summer long, and the big brother did it for like 4 hours, and then he was grounded for life, where the other guys got a slap on the hand.
And you really believe what you're telling me?
It's just normal behavior. You see someone get away with something, you believe you could do it too. Except when the January 6ers did it, they didn't get away with it, even though they didn't do anywhere near.
So you saw someone get away with.
Fire, they didn't really kill anybody.
You saw somebody.
And they got punished way more.
So I mean, what's next? You gonna imitate O.J. Simpson too?
Listen, if there was like 1,000 people, if we had the purge and a bunch of people a whole day acting like O.J. Simpson, I'm gonna not get punished. Yeah, if there was like 1,000 million, like thousands of O.J. Simpsons, and they're all going around killing and not getting punished, yeah, I'm gonna believe I'm gonna get away with it too.
So that would make you so at the very least then that means you're a sick individual, even though you might get away with it. If seeing somebody get away with a horrible act and that inspires you,
If after O.J. Simpson, seeing him do that, I think I could at least punch my ex-wife and her boyfriend, I don't think I'm gonna go to jail for punching him if OJ got away with killing them. But again, OJ, that's such an extreme part. I'm trying to kill my argument, but you know the argument works.
It actually ain't that extreme. Hold on, no, it ain't that extreme. They were talking about taking the life of the VP. It ain't that extreme.
But they didn't do it.
They couldn't find them. They couldn't find them.
Even the same people that chanted that actually, I don't even know if there's any evidence that the people that chanted that actually made it into the Capitol. I mean, January 6th was a big event. There's people in every corner. If those people were at the speech, they probably didn't even make it into the Capitol.
Well, the good thing is now they've been offered a free tour back. I gotta move it on. Paid tour back by the Republicans.
If they would have found him, they would have done anything to him.
Yeah.
They didn't kill anybody. They didn't kill a single person.
All right, they just
If
beat the
one person, I'd be
they just beat the shit out of some cops. They just beat the shit out of some cops.
Well, any mob like that, even like a soccer mob leaving a stadium, was still gonna accidentally or even on purpose beat up people in their way.
I'm going to beat the hell out of the police to get. Hold on. What you're basically saying is I'm going to beat the hell out of the cops to get in here. But if I actually find the people I'm mad at, I'm not going to do nothing to them at all.
I mean, he might have gotten beaten up, but he's not gonna get murdered. And he's not gonna get hung.
100 people beating up Nancy Pelosi. She gonna survive that in flying colors, huh?
Who was protecting those cops? But other MAGA were also protecting those cops. A lot of those cops said, these people were beating me until other MAGAs came in and protected me.
Okay, well, like I said, they got a free tour back to the Capitol, but I gotta go.
Yeah, take
Appreciate it.
care.
All right, moving on. Trump removed executive order for equal opportunity and affirmative action in 65. I saw that. I gotta look that up. very concerning because, like I said, my guess is if you remove gains, losses are the results of it. I don't believe that you can remove gains and protections and expect the public to just continue doing what's right. Everything that has been given to minorities or women, there are people that didn't want it to happen. They didn't. I mean, you got people that didn't even want Juneteenth, the holiday that Biden designated to honor or to recognize the day slavery ended. I did a show on Juneteenth, the year that happened. Was it 2021 or 2022? I cannot tell you how many folks was referring to it as a bullshit holiday and said it never happened. So, and that's a holiday that they could take off themselves. So you can only imagine how much resistance affirmative action or DEI, some of this other shit is at. I mean, so you're going to get rid of it, and we're to believe that nobody is going to act the way they used to act that inspired it to be put on to begin with. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't, hopefully it doesn't, but I'm a betting man. Not only would I bet that it's going to go backwards, I would be willing to maybe 3-4 times the amount of money to the better. I mean, I would, 3 or 4 to 1 odds on it that it would go back because people benefit from it. I mean, it's simply put, people benefit from it. I mean, if you remove these protections, the people that are in the majority now may not have to compete with them for employment. They benefit from it. So the idea that it wouldn't come back doesn't make sense. CAGA, or is that MAGA, will talk in circles to achieve nothing. Some have said that, but some said about the liberals too. With my last caller, me and MAGA Reacts always have a little sparring match anytime he comes on. Quick note, Officer Famone unable to get protection for him and family. He is no longer considered a victim, just wrong. You're talking about the cop, the Capitol Police officer, the one that did get stunned and they were threatening to take his gun and use it on him, and he had to plead and say, I got children, to get them to stop. You're saying he is unable to get protection for him and family. He is no longer considered a victim. It's just wrong. And he has been receiving death threats. I believe that officer, that Capitol Police officer, has tried to get a order of protection because he's been receiving death threats. Oddly enough, the leader of the Oath Keepers, I talked about this at the beginning of the program, the leader of the Oath Keepers was banned from returning to the Capitol building. Now, I brought up that Congresswoman Lauren Boebert has invited the January 6th protesters back for a paid tour of the Capitol building. Well, they banned the Oath Keepers leader from coming back. He's the one that they're claiming had stationed firearms a few blocks away from the Capitol. And they did have some sort of organized incursion, if you don't want to call it insurrection, whatever you want to call it. They had zip ties and all of that. Well, anyway, they banned him from being able to re-enter the Capitol building. The Trump administration has already released a statement saying they're not happy with that. They're not happy that the leader of the Oath Keepers no longer has access to the Capitol building. So if they completely pardoned him, I guess the argument would be made, you don't have any legitimate reason to ban him. So they're actually fighting on behalf of this guy to get access back to the Capitol building. It's one thing to say that they got punished too hard or sentenced for too long, but look, I can't speak on it. Anyway, let me go back to the box. If pardoned, probably allowed in, says 51 cent. Yeah, they're trying to fight to allow him back in the Capitol building. There is a difference between riots and peaceful protests. You're right. Like I said, I don't understand how the BLM protests get compared to these two things. And some of you folks disagree with me, but I do believe that there are certain things you do in this country, you're going to get the full weight of the prosecution system more than other things. I do believe threatening the life of the vice president, you're going to probably get punished more than somebody stealing the television out of a Best Buy. Or even setting fire to the Best Buy. You're talking about taking the life of the VP and you're in the same location with him, trying to get to him. I just think that I don't think they're going to treat those two things the same. Somebody else obviously disagrees with me, but I was trying to bring up one of my guests. I'll try it again. Sherbert, is that what it is? I'm looking there. I'll give you a moment to come up. Before we continue on, what did they do? People who burnt fire departments and police stations. Hang on a second, Sherbert. Let me get there. Hang on a second. Why are we not going to the states and asking them that? If somebody commits a federal crime and get away with it, why do the person who committed the federal crime keep complaining about what happened at the state level? Go to the different governors of those states and demand justice. That don't excuse the guy committing the federal crime. And the Summer of Love, by the way, happened when Trump was in office. So if you believe that something should have been done at the federal level, then ask Trump, why didn't he do it? Sherbert, good evening.
Howdy, Tim.
Hey.
I'm just really pissed off at MAGA Reacts about the BLM. So,
what do you mean? Explain, elaborate.
So whenever people talk about BLM, it drives me crazy because the actual reason was George Floyd. You know, everyone in the country saw that was a fucking massacre.
Everybody doesn't believe that, though. A lot of people believe George Floyd died of COVID or he died of fentanyl. People don't believe that.
What they believed him.
Huh?
There's enough people that did see that man was murdered. The guy who did it was sent to prison for murdering somebody.
They don't. I got a lot of viewers who believe Derek Chauvin should not be incarcerated right now.
Well, they're idiots, but that's fine.
A lot of people.
But, okay, so Tim, the same way everyone on the left is okay with putting January 6th rioters in jail for fighting cops, the same thing with BLM rioters. The actual protest was a good thing to show that people are being discriminated against and murdered, where, you know, when people were lighting shit on fire, it was just opportunists. There's a difference between January 6th when they were sent to a place versus people deciding to go wild. And then they keep putting that on to BLM when it's not BLM. It is individuals being assholes.
That's a really good point, is that when the BLM riots happened, even though they're blaming everything on BLM, you're right. There's like stealing TVs from Best Buy. There may be people that saw, look, this is a good opportunity just to get a free TV. I don't give a damn about what the police are doing. I'm not here for that. I just see a store that's the windows broken out of. I'm about to go in here and give me some free shit. But people are tagging it to BLM. That is a good point, because I believe some instigators were found in one city where they were, I think they set fire to a police car or something like that, and they turned out to be, I don't know if they were white supremacists, but they were not BLM. They were not BLM.
Provocateurs.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here when we can, okay, so anybody that went to the actual Ellipse rally, great. No one is saying to put them in jail for going to that rally.
Okay.
Anybody that's saying they went to a BLM rally, they're totally fine. The actual movement was great. The same way when people saying that they thought, you know, the election was fake. You can believe that, great. Mm-hmm. But when you actually go and start a fight, you're going to get put in jail like any other person in this goddamn country. Yeah. And so anyone that set fires or took over a city, great, arrest them. I bet there is real data on how many people got truly.
There is data.
React says.
Go ahead.
Oh, they got away scot-free. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They got arrested when they got caught. You go into the most surveilled building in the country, they're gonna catch you. Sorry for being dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, they certainly. I was watching News Nation last night. I cannot think of the guy's name, but he's a very well-known attorney. He used to host the show Live PD. That used to be on A&E. He used to host that. He's an attorney, and you see him on everything from Good Morning America. If I put his face up, everybody know what I'm talking about. I can't think of what his name is, but he was on News Nation yesterday. He covered all of the arrests that resulted from the George Floyd protest. Thousands of people have been arrested. I forgot how many hundreds he said received felonies. He said an average sentence was 2.5 years. People have been charged with everything from arson to burglary. There has literally been hundreds of BLM protesters arrested. He covered that. And a lot of folks are like MAGA. They don't believe any BLM protester got arrested.
What's the average prison time for a January 6th rider? About a year or two. If they didn't do anything other than enter a closed building or
Right.
just, didn't do very much, they got 6 months. They got a year. Like anybody else. It's the Enrique Tarrios that got the bigger sentences, the ones that
Right.
actually beat the cops, the ones that actually tasered the cops. They got longer sentences.
Right.
Fucking QAnon Shaman was out within a year, and he was the most well-known person of them all.
Yeah. QAnon Shaman is, yeah, he been out. Yeah, he been out.
So how can you say this is politically motivated, political motivation, when the most public person in there got out within a year? What are we even talking about?
Well, this is a talking point.
It's bias. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
And tribalism. Trump is great at making a tribe. And I personally hate tribalism. It doesn't help anyone.
so we've seen, and that's what the whole show's topic was about. We've seen we've seen 5 days of Trump, not long, but it's been 5 days. The 5 days feels like 5 months, but looking at the weekend review, how are you feeling about him so far?
Well, I'm terrible. This country's going down, Tim. I hate to say it. I love this country, but when you take away all the protections, you're left with Mad Max.
Damn. You think it's going down that far?
Oh, we're definitely sliding, and we're going to slide hard because all of the people that could actually stop it are out of office. It's only, apologists that like MAGA Reacts and Gen X that don't know what they're talking about or are super biased. When you can apologize for anything, nothing matters. Why would I think this country's going to self-correct?
There's a lot of folks that believe what they believe. I get you cannot have a January 6th discussion without BLM and they didn't arrest people come up. I mean, I don't think I've ever had one. If you talk about January 6th, somebody that defends or sympathizes with those protesters is going to bring up BLM. It's impossible to do. It's impossible not to talk about BLM when you bring up January 6th.
Which is silly, because they're totally different things when a major power says to come and do a thing versus literally the zeitgeist saying, hey, we're all pissed, right? This guy just got murdered and everyone's saying it's okay. It's very different. How dare they bring that up as a comparison, as these are totally equal in the same thing, not even close.
But what I don't get is we've heard for years that the Democrats wanted to defund the police and, they don't like cops. And this happens in the right.
For a little bit.
Huh?
But they did for a little bit, but there was a difference. They wanted to put that money into helping people, into getting more counselors, into drug, rehabs and whatever else versus fuck you shouldn't have this. The same thing with FEMA. Why would we ever get rid of FEMA? It doesn't make...
Okay, I don't know what just happened there. My live on what do you call it? I'm learning on Instagram. It's a work in progress. What ends up happening is they time it. I don't know how to change that. Anybody who knows a little bit about Instagram, because I was an Instagram caller, after a certain period of time, they time the live and I have to keep restarting it. So my last guest dropped because they timed out the live. So I'm still figuring Instagram out. I'll have to correct that. We'll move the program on though. Hopefully people wake up and help each other or the country is going backwards. They don't have enough power. Let's say what folks are fearful about Trump. Let's say it actually happens. Let's say Trump is trying to roll the country back in some way, shape, or form. The people that are concerned about it do not have enough power. I mean, Trump is surrounded by loyalists and they got all the power right now. So other than maybe voting in the 2026 midterms, until then, you kind of got to sit back and enjoy the ride. So 14,000 BLM were arrested, says Will G. I was trying to find the actual clip because I did record it last night, but all of my devices are actually playing right now. But yeah, they definitely pointed out that thousands of Black Lives Matter protests throughout the quote unquote summer of love did get arrested. Arson, felonies, they got hundreds of felonies. That's just a talking point on the right that, now we could argue that maybe not enough of them got arrested. We could debate that, but none of them got pardoned or any of that kind of stuff. Now, folks may point out, well, yeah, he got arrested, but he's already out and they let him out early, whatever. It's on their record. The January 6th protesters, They have a clean criminal record just like we do. I mean, you got somebody that may have went in the store and took a pack of cigarettes off the shelf and got arrested that has a more significant criminal history than guys that were beating the shit out of cops. They have nothing on their criminal history. They can go back out and get a firearm. They have nothing on their criminal history. They don't have any, you get a felony, it follows you around for a while, can prevent you from getting a job, getting a student loan, getting an apartment, being able to go nothing. They have clean criminal history, even though they're actually on video in some of these cases doing that stuff. Was it that much of a witch hunt that they don't deserve any criminal history at all? Now, Trump stated, before I go back to my next caller, and I'm going to appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen, get the likes on up to about 50, F-I-D-D-Y, 50,000. But Trump suggested that, look, they've already been in prison long enough. The prison facilities are disgusting and inhumane. That's a quote he said, disgusting and inhumane. Since when have we ever cared about the quality of the prison that criminals spend in? I mean, the fact that, to me, that just sounds like I really care about these people. I don't want them in a prison. I mean, they committed a crime. Okay, so if you think they've been in there too long, then we can debate that. But inmates going to disgusting and inhumane places, that's kind of our criminal justice system. We know it. I mean, now, I brought this up on yesterday's live, that if Trump believed that they needed to be rescued because they were in a filthy, or what did he call it? Inhumane and disgusting is the words he used. I brought this up yesterday. If you know the places disgusting and inhumane that they were in, when you took them out of there, the place wasn't vacant. They're not the only ones in there. So you know for a fact that other Americans are now being housed in a disgusting and inhumane facility. What are you doing about them? Or do you not give a damn about Americans in somewhere that is disgusting and inhumane if they are not on your team? Because he's on record referring to the facility as inhumane. Well, it's your facility. You're in charge of the federal prison system now as president. What are you doing about it? Because there's other Americans that are still in this inhumane environment. So it just looks, to me, the whole setup reeks of, I care about my people and I'm gonna look out for them no matter what. And I meant to ask this yesterday, but I asked you guys this today before I go to the box. Do you feel like this may indicate to certain people that if I commit an act of political violence that's in favor of my president, I can feel like my president might have my back? Let's say there was way too many Democrats voting in a facility, so you set it on fire so it wouldn't be open so they couldn't vote there. And Trump won that county. And you got charged with arson, and the media makes it clear that you committed that felonious act of arson in defense of Trump getting reelected. Is there a possibility? I'm asking you folks. Maybe I sound crazy and ridiculous. Feel free to state that in the comments, but do you think it's a possibility that Trump might rescue you? Because you only did what you did to help him get reelected. And he won the county. Let me know in the comments. Looking at the box, going back on, don't conflate January 6th with political violence. Then what the hell was it? Craig says, don't conflate January 6th with political violence. Really? Then what should you conflate it with? Real quick, going back to the box. Top Dog been holding there. Good evening, Top Dog. Welcome to the program. Don't conflate January 6th with... it's okay. You say it wasn't political violence. It's a protest. Was there any violence there that day? Was it just a peaceful protest all day? Don't conflate it with political violence. Conflate it with a protest. Well, was it violent? We'll give the box a moment to come up. We may have to reset it. Hopefully people wake up. I saw that in the comments there. Protest about politics. Yeah, and it was violent. He says, don't conflate. How does this happen? where you got people on video beating the shit out of cop, but don't conflate it with political violence, then what is it? Huh? What about the open borders that has caused so much death and chaos? Well, they're doing something about it, Paul. They're doing something about it. I don't, you know, I'd have to question what is the definition of so much death and chaos. I don't know how many immigrants that are in this country undocumented has caused chaos and death is the word you used. I don't know how many immigrants. I mean, one person dying is too many. We could argue that, but as I mentioned earlier in the program, any numbers Trump gives you are probably inflated. You ask Trump to estimate how many undocumented immigrants have taken somebody's life. Whatever number he gives you is way more than it actually is. So I don't know. Opioid epidemic has caused death. Noah, yeah, because I'm about to say, if you look at fentanyl, whatever people are accused, that ain't going to stop by shutting down the border. Because nobody in America is being pinned down and forced to ingest fentanyl. We actually want that shit. Americans want that. So getting rid of the illegal immigration problem is not going to stop that. That is delivered on request and by demand. And I don't believe it'll slow down either, Melissa. You said that because how many folks believe that if you ban guns, people will always be able to find a way to get a gun on the street? Or it'll just create a black market. It won't stop any gun ownership in this country at all if you ban guns. But you really believe that if you close the border, it's going to stop drug possession. Same thing. You're going to create a black market and they'll find a way to get it. Did you see Pastor yeah, I saw the pastor. I seen people with the videos. Look at the coon. Quicks says, did you see the pastor at the inauguration for Trump MLK speech and afterwards hawking Bitcoin? Yeah, I saw that pastor up there. I definitely saw that. I saw the videos people posted online. Always cooning for you. Let me go back to the box. God. That pastor was fun. That was fun to watch that. Michael, one of my subscribers, good evening. Welcome to the program. Did you see the pastor, Mike?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
my
God.
I try to keep my level of Tunisian intake at a low level because there's so many out there right now. But can we please go back? MAGA listen, that was probably the worst that I've ever heard MAGA reacts on your program.
What did he say?
Well, here's the thing, Tim, in all seriousness. Because when he says this stuff, he's so wrong, and then he tries to give these whataboutisms. There were over 10,000 people that got arrested during BLM protests. They were protesting because somebody was murdered by a police officer on camera. And for him to say that, or for anybody to start giving the whataboutisms, just ask yourself, if he was white or your son, would you say that? And your answer is unequivocally fucking no. So stop doing that shit, because when you talk about the divide, we're not being divisive. We're trying to fight this bullshit. Because what that said, I don't want to bring you up, MAGA Reacts, because you said enough. 10,000 protesters were arrested. Here's the thing, Tim. There were over 7,000 protest events during that time frame. That's the part they don't tell you. 7,000 events across the country were protesting to George Floyd. 10,000 were arrested. Do you understand that the police only arrested 5% of the people, and there was only 3.75% of property damage? So when they talk about the property damage and burning the city down, which didn't happen, but you know who contributed to burning and shooting up shit in those cities? The Boogaloo Boys movement. That's not me talking. That's the federal government naming them an extremist group, calling them the Boogaloo Boys movement. Do you know who Ivan Hunter is? MAGA Reacts? I'm sure you don't. Do you know who Stephen Persall is? MAGA Reacts? I'm sure you don't. Do you know who Andrew Lyman is? They were William Loomis. Do you know who they are? They were all participants from the Boogaloo Boys. One of them actually killed a federal agent. Did you know that? So when you get on this live and you start talking about the what is it, and you want to compare J6 with, know what you're talking about, because you don't, and you make people think that, see, the division isn't coming from us wanting something, because black folks, do you think that there's a history of black folks getting away with crimes in public against white people. Are you kidding? That's not a thing.
Well, I'm sure you've seen the video that I often post of Trump retweeting that black, if you're the victim of a homicide as a white person, there's an 81% chance a black person did it. I think there's a lot of people that buy into that stuff, and they do believe that black people have did a whole lot of violence against whites and got away with it.
But the funny part is, that's not true. There's white on white crime, there's black on black crime, because people commit crimes with the people in their proximity.
Yeah, right.
That's a fact. So when they get on here spewing this bullshit, tell me who John Shireen is. See, this is the thing. When they want to make excuses for George Floyd, well, they think he was on fentanyl or whatever. Do you know who John Sharon is? John Sharon is a 15-year-old white kid that got convicted and pled guilty of trying to drown a black kid. And what was he saying when he was trying to drown him? Do you know, Tim?
I've never heard this story.
Yeah, I know. When he was trying to drown him, you know what he was saying?
What?
George Floyd. The 15-year-old white kid was yelling George Floyd. Look it up.
Yeah, I'm curious.
But see, nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Nobody wants to talk about it because they don't want to accept the fact that these things are real. And all Trump and his administration is doing is trying to strip away everybody's rights to make white people feel like they're gaining something back. We're all losing.
Well, I will say this: while you were talking and while MAGA Reacts was talking, and I would invite anybody else. This is an easy search. If you go on YouTube and just type in BLM protesters arrest, there's dozens of videos all over the country of BLM protesters being arrested. I mean, just type in. I mean, I got Beverly Hills one. Here's one in LA, Philadelphia, Portland. I mean, just New York. I see one. Just type in BLM protesters arrest, and there are. I mean, they've been arrested a lot. I mean, there's a lot of arrests all over YouTube.
And let me tell you what else happened. Since we're talking about it, do you also remember the videos of several police officers, white, black, Hispanic, that marched with the BLM protesters? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember
when Cal Rittenhouse killed two of them? Cal Rittenhouse killed two of them.
Right. But there was one white officer, I think it was in D.C. or Chicago, and he took his stuff off and marched with the protesters. So here's the thing. If we're ever going to move forward, what you have to do is listen to people that have been marginalized in this country. Every time they try to tell you something, you go, well, if black people had went into that Capitol and shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk and scaled walls and kicked in doors, we would not be having this conversation, Tim. We would all be considered animals. They would have been trying to take our rights away sooner. That's a fact. So when you do the whataboutisms and the games and the playing, people are losing their lives. And I'm going to tell you why I'm riled up today. I went to a language immersion school earlier today with one of my colleagues here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to two Hispanic families that are trying to sign their legal parenting rights over to friends in case they get deported to protect their children. Now, where the fuck is the humanity in that? But everybody wants to get on here and make all these excuses about crime and Lincoln Riley. Well, if one is too many, you're traumatizing people just because because of your fucking feelings. There are people terrified.
I don't think they care. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get the likes up. I hate to interrupt and say some shit like that in the middle of this passionate plea, but tap the screen, get the likes up. I don't think they care. I think the response is you should have thought about how bad it might be before you enter the country undocumented. I don't think they care about even the drowning, the so-called drowning devices that were in the Rio Grande. They don't care what happens to these people. The response is you should have thought about that before you came here.
The funny part is the people I'm talking about undocumented. But their whole point is when you go into a school, how do you know? The fact if they take these parents from wherever they are and their kids are at school and their parents don't come to pick them up, where the kids going, Tim? They're going to foster care.
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking about this shit. So you can get picked up and oops, my mistake, but where's your kid now? Just that one incident is traumatizing. They don't care. They don't care because it's not their kids. They don't care because they're not white kids. They don't give a fuck. And then they want to make excuses for this shit. This is the sad part about all of this. And this is where my passion meets and I try to control my anger because when I listen to this shit, I know that people don't have any humanity and they're not showing any empathy. Because if If one life matters, then they all matter. So if Lincoln Riley's life matters so much when they pass legislation for her, then what does it matter? This man just got arrested. He not arrested, detained, the U.S. veteran, right, on that ICE raid because he didn't have the proper credentials.
Yeah, that's gonna happen a lot. I've been called a fearmonger for bringing that up, but I definitely said that if you look brown, it doesn't matter if you're an American citizen or an illegal immigrant. Until they find out, you're gonna be treated just like an illegal. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of Hispanics that are born in America that are American citizens from birth that are gonna be complaining about being mistreated. That's guaranteed to happen.
100%. And again, they'll go, well, it's just, well, what? It's not happening to you. You can't, because you know it doesn't apply to you. You know why these laws are happening.
You get the same argument that, well, you're talking about is the same pushback I got when I was against giving police immunity from prosecution. Well, it brings down crime. I mean, so yeah, it's like, because it ain't happening to them as well, too, but it's like, I don't mind violating a little bit of your rights if it does something I favor that's, in their opinion, good for society. Now, like I said, if the same argument is used against them where, okay, well, do you mind your rights being violated a little bit? Maybe your gun rights could bring down shootings. No, I don't want you to violate my rights, but it's okay. And a lot of Americans are like that. I don't care if it happens to them, just as long as it ain't happening to me.
Right. And so, if you, and I agree with you 100%, Tim, and the ones that come to that conclusion, and I've been saying forever, the ones that come to that conclusion show their lack of humanity because it's not happening to them. But as soon as it happens to them, they want to pass legislation, they want to pass laws, they want to be up in arms, and they want to do the otherisms, right? Yeah. Instead of really looking at, just look at the person across from you as an equal and stop. Just because there's crime by a subset of immigrants or migrants, there's more crime happening in your city by people that look like you than look like them. But you've been bought into this bullshit, and you think it's real and it's not real, and you're destroying and harming families, and the very families that are here to take care of a lot of things in this country. And then when they're gone, that bullshit MAGA's talking about bring them back slowly. Well, bring your motherfucking ass back slowly then. How about that? How about somebody to your
So then, Mike, I gotta challenge you. I gotta push back with, and this is gonna be a tough one, but I gotta ask you. 5 days Trump has been in office. Have you seen anything good he's done at all? He's passed a whole lot of executive orders, talking about doing a whole lot. Has he done anything good at all, in your opinion, over the last 5 days?
I honestly, Tim, if he did, with everything I just said, if he did, I would call it like I saw it. But here's the thing: when you know, listen. When you're working on something, Tim, when you're driving down the road, when you're working every day and you're driving, you're looking ahead of you, right?
Right.
What are you looking ahead of you for? You're looking for obstacles, dangers, road signs, things to lead you where you're going. Well, I've been doing that. So I'm not saying anything different because I've been paying attention. But matter of fact, check this out. So just today, Marco Rubio, right? I don't know, have you talked about this already?
No.
The State Department issued an immediate widespread pause on all foreign aid.
Repeat that.
For the next,
So that would be Ukraine, wouldn't it?
Yes. And so at the same time, Trump is saying, I'm telling Putin he needs to negotiate. You suspend their funding for the next 90 days. This is all State Departments. Listen, does it take longer to destroy a home or build it?
Takes a lot longer to build it.
And what he's doing is he's destroying shit, trying to appease, and trust me, MAGA reacts. None of this, the only thing that he's protecting is your white privilege. That's it. Everything else is up for grabs. The only thing you're gonna get out of this, if that's the kind of person you are, or anybody else listening, if your white privilege means more than everybody else, then just say that shit. Whatever you are. Because you're acting like it. And the sad part is people are suffering, Tim, already. And I told you this. I told you 3 weeks ago.
Well, but you can't hate on Trump because he ain't doing anything he didn't promise. People knew what he was going to do when they voted for him. He actually is delivering on his promise.
The BTK killer also did that too. he wrote the police and told them what he was going to do, and he murdered people too.
Yeah, but
So are you saying?
but they didn't vote him in. They didn't vote him in office.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about him saying what he's going to do and doing it.
Yeah, but they were.
You're giving him credit. You're giving him credit for saying I'm going to destroy some shit and destroying it.
I'm giving no the BTK example you used. The police were looking to stop him, not promote him and give him a promotion. Trump stated what he was going to do. Yes, it sounded very unsympathetic. Some of it sounded cruel. I'm not denying that. But America heard that, and they still elected him to office. Every swing state went to that guy.
With the exception to Wisconsin. Yep, I agree. But listen, I agree. Listen, and what we're talking about now, what you're hearing from me is the passion, because I would rather people that voted for him, that are seeing what's happened, just shut the fuck up. But when they come up here and try to white-splain it away, like MAGA reacts to doing, that's the problem that I have. You voted for this shit. Don't give me the whataboutisms. January 6th was crazy. Don't explain it any other way. It is what it is. The BLM riots of some cities got out of control, but you can't compare the two because the difference is he was lying to you guys. We watched George Floyd die.
Well, let me just say this also about January 6th. Even if, for folks who do want to compare it, everybody on the right admits that the setting cities on fire and robbing Best Buys was wrong. Period. Yeah. The only argument is, well, they got away with doing wrong, so I should be able to too. I mean, they're not even denying what they did on January 6th was wrong. But they got away with it, which to me, I don't see how that is worthy of bringing up. You're basically saying I should be able to commit acts of evil because somebody else did. That's really all I'm hearing.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Tim, and I want to go back. We can't move on. They didn't get away with it.
No, they didn't. Not all of them.
We can't let, anytime that comes up, we cannot let that go by. They did not get away with it. BLM protests weren't just black people protesting. They have demonized the BLM because here's the thing, and it's crazy. They were Blue Lives Matter all through BLM. But when the Capitol police officers got attacked, did you hear anybody talk about Blue Lives Matter?
They were beating them with the, I believe at least some of them beat the cops with Blue Lives Matter flags.
Damn right they did. But see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Stop the whatisms. If anybody destroyed property during the BLM riots, they should have been, and 10,000 were arrested. What are we talking about? Did some probably get away with whatever they did? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did, just like J6. Did everybody get arrested during J6? But let me ask you this. Trump didn't pardon one BLM member, did he?
No, because of the terrorist outfit.
He didn't, right, but he just pardoned people that had been deemed part of terrorist groups by the Department of Justice and the FBI. He just did that. And Enrique got out and said, now there needs to be retribution. He just said it.
Right.
What are we doing? What's the message there?
Well, in regards to your question, where's the message? Before I brought you up, I asked that question. Do you believe that this might indicate to some that if you commit an act of violence on behalf of the president, he will have your back?
The answer to that is yes. The answer, and here, this is my last point. I'm going to land my plane here because I got another meeting I got to get to. This is my point. There will be good people. There will be good officers. There will be good people that get hurt with this movement because you're going to force people to feel as if they have to fight for their rights and their civil liberties and their rights. Do you think every Hispanic is going to lay down and be treated like shit and deported? Do you think that's going to happen?
No. In fact, I think some cops are going to lose their lives behind it. They're going to go in some of them houses.
That's sad.
Yeah, that's certainly going to happen. But they know what they signed up for. If you're an immigration officer, you know you're going to be going after people and trying to deport people that don't want to get deported. That's even before Trump came along. That's just going to happen.
You're right, CBD. I'm responding to him real quick, then I drop. He said they sat in jail for 4 years, laugh out loud, what else do you want? That's
not true.
That I'm talking about. Yeah. If they had longer sentences, what I'm saying is that the president of the free world should not be pardoning convicted felons for what they did, because the message is it's okay. The message is as long as it's white, it's right. The message is as long as he agrees with it and you guys continue to support it, it will continue. And the sad part is, CBD, people will get hurt. Now, if you don't care about other people, just say it. But if you do care a little bit about somebody, you'll stop trying to explain this bullshit away. But then you guys put it on the side of people like me that are saying we're race baiting, we're fear mongering. We just want to live our lives the way everybody else wants and look out for each other. But I shouldn't have to look at this lady today crying, signing the rights, her parental rights away, just in case they come into her job and grab her, at least her kids. That should never happen. But the president and his supporters set that bullshit in motion. Haitians eat cats and dogs. See, that's what I'm saying. Be accountable for your bullshit. Just be accountable. All right, Tim.
Holla, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. I'm going to ask you folks to tap the screen. You know what I've been asking. The program is MAGA friendly. We do get MAGA on here, so understand you're going to hear opinions that are critical of Trump. But damn it, you get a lot of opinions that are favorable of him as well. We don't block, ban, or censor, or even make any attempt to dictate how the callers speak at all. So you can challenge anyone in the comment section. You can challenge the host. This is not one of those programs where we're trying to dictate how you speak. So understand that. This is free speech here. That's what we mean when we say that. We go left of Bernie Sanders from having dinner with Q. By the way, if you do favor this type of open dialogue from all sides of the aisle, I'm going to ask that you follow the program on TikTok, subscription on YouTube, Instagram, however it's done, because we're on all four platforms. We're on YouTube, 3 platforms. We're on YouTube, and I think I just knocked out a damn breaker and took out my monitor. I'm gonna have to go behind me and fix that. But yeah, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So follow the program on TikTok, subscription on YouTube, if you will. Continuing on with the program, I'm gonna have to reset that damn thing because I need my monitor on for the program. Looking in the comments, if I got to jail, I am taken away from my kids, so what makes them special? And that's an interesting point. I can't disagree with it. The point he's making is, if you go out and commit a crime, they're going to separate you from your children. So if you're committing the crime of entering the country illegally, why do you expect to be with your kids? I mean, even if you went to the local store and stole a bag of potato chips, if the store presses charges and they want to have you held accountable, it's possible if your kid is with you, at least for a temporary period, the police may separate you from your kid. It does. That is an interesting point. I can't deny that. And by the way, it was happening under Obama as well. I think the reason why Trump gets so much criticism is not necessarily because of what he does, because he brags on it. I mean, I think what you said there, who was that, Janet or whoever said that? John, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but bragging off of cruelty is what makes it look bad. I mean, separating a child, that's what comes along with committing a crime, fine. But you shouldn't take pleasure in doing that. And that's where it appears as if Trump derives pleasure by punishing people. My observation, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it seems like he enjoys doing it. If you go to jail, your kids don't get put in cages. No, they get sent to foster care or they get sent to another member of the family. But when it comes to undocumented residents, maybe they don't know who to send your kids to. So for a temporary period of time, I don't know how to speak on it other than I gotta agree with the MAGA side a little bit by saying, or agree with the Trump supporters a little bit by saying, if you are entering the country in an illegal fashion, you should at least be thinking that this might not go well. I mean, if you get caught, they're not going to just hand you, a nice steak dinner. I mean, it may be unpleasant for a little bit. You are committing a crime. I don't know what happens to Americans that get caught entering Mexico, but I doubt if it's pleasant. I mean, I don't know what the hell they do, but I don't think it's pleasant. And my guess is the way Trump is treating Hispanics is probably going to get worse. We got a lot of Americans that live in Costa Rica and Nicaragua and somebody. If I was an American living in one of those countries right now, I don't know if I'd want to stay there. We are about to get really unpopular in the Hispanic world, particularly white Americans, gringos. I don't know if I want to live there right now. I think I would probably be like, shit, maybe it might be time to head on back to Nantucket somewhere. I don't know if I want. I mean, we're about to get really unpopular because the videos coming out of America are going to suck. They're going to suck, and then you got the president bragging about doing it. I don't know. For some of you, for some of the white folks that live south of the border, and there's people who do retire down there. All you need is one or two angry people that have already been deported by the Trump administration that feel like it was a witch hunt, or they got treated like shit while they were being while they were being deported. Maybe take a little bit of revenge by going down to one of those American communities in one of those towns and slaughtering a few people. I understand there could be repercussions. I'm just telling you. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but cooler heads prevail. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Anyway, going back to the bots. At least we got the ability to speak within our pocket and made it possible for TikTok to be back. Legend, I gave Trump credit for bringing back TikTok, and I gave him credit because the app, when they restored it, they gave him credit as well. But I'm going to tell you, many folks view Trump as the arsonist that is claiming credit for putting out the fire. I gave him credit because without him, it wouldn't be back. But keep in mind, he is on record, along with Joe Biden, the Republican Congress, and the Supreme Court of the United States. All four of those entities are on record saying that TikTok needs to go. The only reason it's back is because Trump changed his mind, but he is on record also saying it needs to go. So when they say the arsonist getting credit for putting out the fire, there could be some validity to that. Looking in the comments, Handsome, he's the reason we lost TikTok in the first place, which is exactly what I just said. He wants 50%, says Johnny. I don't know if gets 50% of TikTok. I don't know if the 50% gonna go to the masses, but this is what happens when you say you want a country that's ran like a business. Everything is based on profit. And even for you folks that favor Trump, that's all you hear him talking about is money. I'm getting out of NATO because they're not contributing enough money. I mean, everything he is doing, this is one reason why I'm not a big fan of running the country like a business. Is because in a civilized society, everything cannot be about profit because the poorest among us won't have any access to it. If you don't have any, if I'm running a business and you don't have enough money to purchase my good or service, I don't have the time of day for you. So I don't believe in a civilized society everything should be money oriented, but that's all you hear Trump talking about. Every policy he makes, you're hearing money is at the root of that policy. I can see where people might get harmed in that. Getting rid of FEMA, where they're wasting too much money. Getting rid of the Department of Education, too much money. What about the folks that are going to be harmed by getting rid of some of these environments? The ones that don't have any money. Like I said, if I'm running a business and you don't have enough money to purchase my good or service, I don't really care about you. And he is doing that. Every decision he's making it clear money is the reason why he's doing it. Let me go back to the box. Continuing on with the program. Dincal, good evening, welcome. We're judging the first 5 days of Trump, Dincal. Do you like what you see?
Damn, it's only been 5 days.
Since money. I'm telling you, Biden got on Marine One or whatever they call him after he's no longer president. That seemed like months ago.
Man, I think you're just taking everything out of context.
You know what I said though at the beginning. I'm gonna have to do that. But you know what I think though? I think it's because this is why I gave Trump credit earlier in the beginning. I know you hate when I get Trump credit, but I got to give him credit for this. Ever since he won the election in November, he has felt like our president. It's like the day after he won, Biden got pushed to the side. World leaders were going to Mar-a-Lago. They're making phone calls with him. We started treating Trump. He was giving press conferences and every damn thing from day one. He's felt like the president of this country ever since he won the president. So it feels like he's been president for a few months already.
I disagree, man. I think you're promoting him to a point.
in people's minds, like, because our government is supposed to be non-existent in our lives unless they need to be. Him being involved in every aspect of everybody's life on every level is not what government is supposed to be. They're supposed to be small government. They're supposed to be in the background. We're supposed to be able to do things in our lives to promote ourselves, to be able to get the American dream. We don't need him telling us about Greenland and Panama and all of the stuff he's doing. He's saying that he can't necessarily stop the war, but if he get OPEC to cut the prices of gas, then Russia gonna feel it, and then they're gonna stop the war. Bro,
But
that's not what he told us.
But that's what I mean when I say he felt like he was the president since day one. I mean, obviously, we got TikTok went down and restored before Trump he was even in the White House. You got Greenland responding to what he was talking about. You got Mexico and Canada talking about they're going to, extend their budgets to protect the border. All of this was happening before Trump became president officially. Panama's online talking about what he's saying. He felt like the president since November. It feels like he's been leading our country for at least 2 months already.
Like I mean, when you say feels like the president, that's your personal perspective about how you feel like somebody is supposed to interact in your daily life. Like,
you didn't feel like Biden. You didn't feel like Biden is taking a backseat to Trump throughout December and late November. You didn't feel that?
Yes, because he was treating the presidency with the reverence and the respect that it deserved. He didn't. Just because you're the president, yes, we understand the power that you have. That doesn't mean you have to go out and exert every single power that you have on day one just to flex and show people that you can. Like, I don't need to know everything that the president is thinking at every given hour. What I want him
But is that not, wait, hold on. Once again, you're not going to like this. I'm giving Trump credit again. Is that not refreshing to have a president that talks to the people? Now, I know he don't always tell the truth. I'm not going to argue with that. But imagine having a president that gets out there, he talks to the people. For folks who support him, he's saying flattering shit all the time. He's being comical. He's actually speaking a language you understand, which is blaming folks that you believe is wrong for this shit already to begin with. Is that not a plus? He talks to the people.
No, because he's not doing that for everybody. He's only doing it for the people that support him. That's not refreshing to know. Like, that would be like saying, saying to the people in Germany, like, isn't it refreshing that Schnittler is really, siding with us and saying that we blonde him?
Well, they didn't like him too. They didn't like Adolf.
Refreshing that somebody finally says that out loud, that we are the chosen people. Like, no, it's not refreshing. No,
I don't.
It's not refreshing.
I don't know, Dinkar. I'm going to tell you something. I think. Go ahead.
I understand that you have to be objective.
But let me tell you why, though. Let me tell you why. I'm not just pushing back for the sake of pushing back. I think Trump is changing the political spirit in different ways. I think whoever the Democrat is, we don't know who's going to lead that party at this point. They're going to have to speak more. Sitting back and letting Trump just continue to trash you and you giving a statement every now and then, or this, when they go low, we go high. That bullshit ain't going to work. I mean, you can't let this guy you cannot let this guy, this side, be in the public's ear day in and day out, and you're only talking every now and then.
I agree. And the problem that I have is that the person that supplants him is going to have to be sufficiently an asshole like him. So the person that comes in has to push us so far to the freaking left.
Well,
they have to start saying, okay, well, if that's what you're gonna do, the next person has to say, I don't give a damn.
No, I don't. I can see.
I don't care about that stuff. I'm gonna push these laws as far as I can push them, because that's what works.
I'm not 100% in agreement with that. I mean, you might be right. I'm not totally disagreeing with you either, but I'm saying that, like, when you talk to a lot of liberals, I'm not talking about people who talk politics day in and day out like many of my astute viewers do here, but I'm talking about just the average person that got a job, but they're likely to lean left. You ask them, what did Biden do good over the last 4 years? They can barely tell you. Whereas you ask MAGA or you ask the Trump supporters or folks on the right, what did Trump do good? Not only can they tell you, they naming shit that he didn't even do because he's telling them all the time, I did that, I did that. That's where the Democrats, I'm not necessarily saying you need to beat up the right, but at least toot your own fucking horn a little bit. This guy literally has his horn on full blast.
No, tooting your horn does not work in this political environment anymore. He has shown people that you have to push the limits. I mean, he's looking at the wording of the 14th Amendment and saying, well, it really don't mean if you was born here, because if you were not under the what do they call it? If you're not the jurisdiction of the, he's like literally going down to the word and saying that what we've always understood from the beginning of the creation of this country ain't what we thought it meant.
Yeah, and that's crazy because even the judge was a Reagan appointee, and the judge even said, he told the lawyers, like, I cannot believe you guys are in here trying to say that this is not in the Constitution. Like, I can't even believe, actual, I won't say trained, but actual lawyers who have passed the bar. Why are you even, this shit is unconstitutional. He actually went off and told them that. Like, I can't even believe that he was able to convince you to even come in here with this bullshit. But
and we all know that it's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And no matter how absurd we all know it is, we know that two people.
Alito and Thomas. Yeah. I will tell you this now.
I want to know about Thomas because we all know the reason why he was hired was because of affirmative action. I want to know, does he need to step down since Trump has put out these executive orders talking about fire everybody who has been hired for DEI and affirmative action? I just want to know.
Thomas ain't going nowhere. I will tell you this. Now, it will be one thing if Trump got enough of the majority to actually repeal the 14th Amendment and get rid of anchor babies from that standpoint. But yeah, if he ends up getting this to the Supreme Court and they rule that what we clearly can see is not there, from that point on, I don't want to hear shit about his liberal fear-mongering. If he can make them do that, anything is open at that point. If he can make, that is as clear and concise as day that that if a person is born on U.S. soil, that individual is a U.S. citizen. If he can get the Supreme Court to interpret that is not what is actually written down there, any other amendment can be rolled back.
Well, then can we agree that we will be an authoritarian or dictatorship, sphere?
I'll just say, like in the second round of American Idol, you ain't safe. That's all I say. You are not safe. You might not go through to the next round. If he can get them to do that, you ain't safe.
Right.
That's right.
I just had a couple. One thing I want to say about like what MAGA React said, and I know it that sparked a lot of.
That boy gets attention. Goddamn, MAGA Reacts.
Oh my goodness, MAGA React. He gets, and I talked to him like offline or sidebar about things like he really believes the shit that he's talking about. This ain't no trolling or nothing. And I just would like to say, I'm almost jealous because I would like to live my life thinking like that. I would love to.
Well, go find Sammy Sosa that used to play for the Chicago Cubs or Michael Jackson. Find their doctor in terms of that melanization shit. You might feel like MAGA React. You just need to lighten up a little bit. Just lighten up.
Just lighten up a little.
Just lighten up a little bit. Yeah, it comes with it.
He's literally arguing that the reason why it's okay for Jan 6ers to get pardoned is because because BLM didn't get punished. Like, that's his argument. They didn't get punished properly, and that's the reason why January 6th people did what they did was because they saw somebody else do it.
Yeah.
And if that ideology is true, that means I need to go to every jailhouse and I need to talk to every criminal, and we need to find somebody else throughout history that did some fuck shit just like they did, and we need to take that to the court, and we need to say, look, the reason why.
Yeah. I don't, I can't, I mentioned this yesterday when I think it might have been him or somebody else brought that same, well, what about Black Lives Matter defense up? And I said, that's essentially saying that I can go out and take a white person's life and cite the fact that the Klan was not prosecuted when they did it for a reason why I shouldn't be prosecuted either. I stated that if everybody that's charged with any crime, from speeding to double homicide, there's somebody else out there that did the same shit you in court for and got away with it. If everybody that went to court could bring up somebody else that did something and got away, the system would come to a halt.
Right, and part of the reason I'm saying this is because it would be different if Biden pardoned everybody from BLM. Then he would have an argument. But that's not what happened.
Right.
He didn't pardon anybody. And they talking about, well, Kamala Harris, they had this fund for bailing out people. Yeah, she did the same kind of fund they used to do for Martin Luther King back in the day when he used to get involved in those rallies and stuff, and he used to go to jail, and then you would get those people out. She didn't put up bond for nobody who set a fire or who broke into a CVS. Those people, the ones that got caught, but obviously those were opportunists. And one thing I'm going to say that nobody has seemed to mention is that the BLM riots happened during COVID. So the vast majority of those people had on masks. That's why you could never catch them.
Yeah. And it happened under the Trump administration, and it was a state crime, and it didn't happen in areas where there were so many cameras like the state, There's so many different things you can push back on. I mean, you go and commit a bunch of felonies under 4K, high definition cameras like at the Capitol. But I mean, now if BLM did a riot on Times Square, yeah, you would have more of them arrested because there's cameras everywhere. They literally went and did something where there's a camera probably every 20 feet. So yeah, you're gonna get more of those folks that are gonna get arrested. They got you on video from the time you entered to the time you went home. Probably got them on video on the bus stop or however they got out of there. Like, of course they gonna catch more of you guys.
And they have no understanding. Like, there are not like liberal judges in liberal cities who just let people get away with crime. They nailing folks to the wall and them judges.
Well, there are some. I mean, not in regards to these protesters, but there are some people. There are some liberal cities where people get, because the right wants you to lose your hand if you steal a bag of potato chips. So there are liberals that are softer on crime than the right, because the right is real. Other than the January 6th protesters, the right wants you prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If the left had did what the January 6th protesters did, the right would have been talking about that was treasonous and some of them folks needed to be hung. But because they're members of the team, we can make a way to look over it.
Right. Then they turned around and said Kamala Harris was too hard on people in those cities. She was too damn hard. She was throwing black people away. I can't catch up to what, when I try to have an argument, they move the goalposts. But one thing I did want to say is these people talking about now they in the corner of all of these billionaires talking about, well, they just want to make things better for everybody. They got to understand those people's specific jobs right now is to make people lose their jobs. That AI and all of that stuff is specifically designed to get rid of human employment. Yeah. I don't understand why they keep thinking that because we give these billionaires more money, they're going to somehow create a job. They're not. They're creating AI so they can fire your ass.
Well, I mean, we know AI, artificial intelligence, is going to cost jobs. I don't think that's up for debate. Maybe it will create some high-tech jobs, but the net loss will be greater than the gain. I mean, there's no other way around that.
None of these people that's running around here in a lot of these lives and stuff talking about how what Trump is doing. Let's just wait and see. We know what the outcome is going to be because Zuckerberg has told you, Elon Musk has told you, Bezos has told you. All of them guys are working towards AI and crypto to boot your ass out of the workplace. It's not because they want to create a factory so everybody can work. They want to create a factory so the robots.
Yeah. So they can.
Run every
Yeah.
damn thing.
Well, I will say, if it's one thing, I don't know. Elon Musk might be the one that is actually telling the truth on that stuff, because he did admit that it's going to cost jobs.
No, look, what you need. I ain't telling you what you need to do. This your show. But if you could look up the interview where he's talking about everybody is going to lose their jobs.
I think we played that. I've seen that. I have seen that.
And that everybody's going to lose their jobs, and everybody's going to have to be put on a
Like like a universal income. Yeah, I have saw that.
He's going to figure out a way to motivate human beings because, they're going to take care of everything for us. Like, I don't understand why these people running around acting like all of a sudden the billionaires, because they working with Trump, are somehow going to bring back manufacturing jobs and coal mining jobs. And that's not what they're trying to do.
Well, some of that is probably because that's what Trump is leading them to believe, but you know how that works. I got to move it on, man.
They got to be. Look, they smarter than that. They smarter than that. They got to be, man. And it don't take nothing but a Google search to figure it out. It's not like I'm making up something about Elon Musk. Like, I got nothing against the guy. He out here trying to make money, but I understand how he's trying to make money, and I understand what he's doing. So why wouldn't I just look into that instead of just saying, well, he down with Trump, so he must be good for me, because he about to take all of their job.
Not a good outlook. Didn't count? Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, moving on with the program. That was almost the entire country. I don't know what you mean by that. This guy talking to won't admit Trump is a better leader than Biden. Well, some of that in regards to whether Trump is a better leader than Biden, I guess it depends on what your politics are. It depends on what is most important to you. I think the polls currently will show that Trump is a better leader than Biden in some areas, but in other areas, not so much. I mean, I don't think the LGBTQ community thinks that Trump is a better leader than Biden. My guess is there's a whole lot of sad Hispanics that voted for Trump that may have changed their mind. It depends on what you like. I've been covering these. We've been on, I think, the whole Trump administration, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that folks focus on that, in my opinion, is like almost irrelevant to some voters. Like, worrying about a transgender person going into the bathroom with your daughter or playing on the wrong sports team. That's such a minute issue in reality, but people were voting based on that. They've passed laws since I think Trump did put an executive order in there that you can't, you can only have two genders. I don't know anybody that's transgender. I don't know if I may have met one or two, been out at a Starbucks or something and the barista was transgender or something like that. But that is such a minuscule issue in my life. The idea that I'm voting based on that, but the trans issue was big during the election. So it depends on what you're voting for. Everybody votes based on their own issues. The border is obviously a huge issue, even though in my opinion, there's a whole lot of Americans that are not dealing with major issues concerning illegal immigration. You live in Boise, Idaho. Are there really that many illegal immigrants in your town? There's a lot of folks that are blowing up these issues that are not that big, at least in my opinion. Looking in the comments, it's a minute issue, but Democrats made it a priority, says MAGA Reacts. How? How could they make it a priority? What did the Democrats do to make somebody wanting it? Because Trump basically banned transgender from existing, really, in the eyes of government. You cannot, if you're born a man, you cannot become a woman in your life at all. So he essentially banned you from being trans. How did the Democrats encourage him to do that or make him do that? Now, I've heard, I didn't want this being shoved down the throats of kids, but he literally is making the transgender community go away. I don't know how the Democrats made him do that. At least Democrats try to care about even the smallest group of people. There is far more of that on the Democratic side than the Republican side. And while you guys are tapping the screen, I do appreciate that before we move on to the next caller. How many times have I said that on the program? That it's a lot easier to be a Republican politician than a Democrat. I truly believe that. If you're a Republican politician, your job is a lot easier than being a Democrat. Because the Democrats, as you talked about, caring about different groups, the LGBTQ community gets a seat at the table. Muslims, you heard about the whole Palestinian, Gaza, Israeli thing. You got Kamala Harris and Joe Biden trying to address the folks who are pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine. You got, obviously, the black community, the Hispanic community. The feminist is in there somewhere. I mean, all of these folks get a seat at the table. And the Democratic politicians have to at least try to please these folks because they have their own little individual voting blocks, and it can hurt if you don't listen to them. Just like the Democrats were not giving the pro-Palestinian people enough say-so, and in Michigan, they started voting for other groups. So the Democrats got to listen to all these people. The Republican politicians, the only person that gets a seat at the table, at least in my analysis, is straight white Christian males. That's it. Focus on the straight white Christian male desires, and you can do pretty well as a Republican politician. Their wives are going to be right along. When you listen to other groups in the Republican Party that are not straight white Christian males, their values and principles they're seeking aligns with straight white Christian males. As Tim Scott, his biggest concerns and things in directions for America, take away the television camera, put his words on paper, and he would sound like a straight white Christian male. I mean, even the people that are not straight white Christian male in the Republican Party, they're fighting for the main signature principles and beliefs of the straight white Christian male population. They're talking the same stuff. You talk to an African-American Republican and racism ended 100 years ago. You don't need DEI. You don't need affirmative action. I mean, they are in line with, but in the Democratic Party, all these people got a seat at the table. They're speaking on different shit, and you got to try to entertain all of them. So it is way more challenging to be a Democratic politician than a Republican. Looking in the comments, I don't know what I just hit there, but I want to make sure it's still scrolling. And I'll continue on. I'll go back to the box. I hit something. I don't know what just happened there, but I seen somebody was holding their baby chocolate. Good evening, baby chocolate. That's a hell of a name. We'll bring them up. Good evening. If the box brings this guy up, realistically, it's happening right now. Are you serious? 100 years ago? I'm just simply saying, Chris. I get a whole lot of folks on the right that will tell you that stuff ended hundreds of years ago. That the blacks, the Hispanics, well, mainly black people, you got victim mentality. You always want to be a victim. That's generally what I hear. I mean, that's the reason we're getting rid of DEI and affirmative action and all that stuff. You don't need it anymore. America has corrected its racist past. In fact, not only has America began treating black people better and corrected its racist past, we're now being racist towards whites. They're the ones that are the victims now. That's what I generally hear from the right. So, yeah, appreciate the hat, mustache, big dog. Yeah! I don't get a lot of support on TikTok, so I appreciate that big dog. Not a lot at all. I haven't seen a galaxy in so damn long. I need to call up Neil deGrasse Tyson and ask him, do they still exist? Let me look into the comments, though. Canada has been treating Trump or threatening Trump about tariffs, so we will say, yeah, there they have. And we'll see how that goes, though, because Trump is making it sound like we don't need Canada at all. I mean, he's been really critical on Canada. We don't need any of their exports. I mean, Trump has made it sound like we don't need Canada at all. So we'll see how that goes. But he is literally shitting on Canada and then saying, but you want to be a 51st state. He is saying that if Canada becomes a 51st state, they'll greatly benefit. They'll get tax cuts and all of this stuff. The reason why Canada pays more taxes, they got a lot more social programs. This is where I keep talking about the what is it? Is it Steve Ducey or Peter Ducey? One's the father, one's the son. But the one that was constantly chastising and just, wiping the floor with Karine St. Pierre of the Biden administration. This is why I say you need a liberal that's like that. Because there are questions that need to be asked of Trump that he's getting away with like that. You're going to brag that if Canada becomes the 51st state, they're going to save all this money on taxes. But are they going to get to keep their social programs? That's the reason they're getting taxes. They got universal health care and extra college tuition and all this shit. You going to get them a tax cut? Are you going to take away those programs that you guys don't have in America? Do they lose those? Nobody asked them that. They just let them get away with saying, well, join America, you'll get cheap taxes. Looking in the comments, I was not impressed with Peter Ducey, says Takesha. Well, if you're on the left, you're not going to be impressed with him. But he made a lot of news, asking the tough questions to Karine, and the right. He's a hero on the right. He is a hero on the right. So I'm just telling you how it went. I mean, that guy's really helped out his career and his resume by attacking Karine like that. Getting the best of her to some degree. And it's crazy because the right thinks that she lies all the time. I'm like, you don't remember Sarah Huckabee Sanders at all, huh? Because she was Trump's spokesperson. And man, she used to say some crazy shit. Let me go back to the box. So Canada is a huge country. Average, lower density populated compared to us. Yeah, but they still have those social programs that we do not in America. If they become the 51st state, do they become the state where you get all these social programs when all 50 of the other ones don't have them? It's a question to be asked. And by the way, Canada would be the most powerful state out of all 51, wouldn't they? Don't you get a certain amount of Congress based on population size and things like that? I mean, they would be one of the most powerful states in the union if they did that. Let me go into the box. Living in hypotheticals. Explain that alter ego real quick before I continue on. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I can't see any of the comments. What the hell did just happen here? Give me a minute, folks, to see if I can figure out why my stream on YouTube shows no comments. What the hell happened? I got the live chat is on. Okay, well, for you folks on YouTube, unfortunately, I can't see any of your damn comments. I may have to restart it on YouTube. I've never had to do that before. I can see on my YouTube horizontal, I can see you guys. Tim, you're good, brother. Stamina, you keep going. I can see you on YouTube horizontal. It's YouTube vertical, where I have a larger audience that I cannot see them. Message delay, none. I got to learn how to work some of this shit. I got so many cameras aimed at me now, but I got to figure out how to work it because then I can't see shit. Nope, I can't see how to do it. It doesn't give me any way. It tells me I'm live, but it doesn't see any comments. Real quick before I go continue on. Maybe it's frozen or something. Let me reset it. Because something is going wrong because I can't see any comments, super chats, or anything to respond to on YouTube. And I don't like that because people are sending shit. Give me a minute to restart the lives. I don't know what the hell happened here.